Yeah, and we had some other freaks. I mean, obviously, Griff won the Heisman. Corey won the Blitzenhoff. Tevin and Lake are known for their speed. I mean,
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Norwood, he'll get a shot at the 45. Norwood, watch out! Norwood still running. Norwood brings it inside. Hard dig. Norwood, touchdown Bears!
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
The crowd on its feet here in Arlington. 2 outs in the ninth. The fly to center field. Greer there. He's got it. A perfect game. Oh, baby. Kenny Rogers pitches the 11th perfect game in Major League history, and he is mobbed by his teammates here at the ballpark in Arlington.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
26 in a row have been retired by Dennis Martinez. 1-2 pitch. In the air. Center field. Grissom. El Presidente. El Perfecto.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday afternoon on SicEm365 Radio. A lot of moving parts today because of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton had a press release on what has created at least new hope again for schools in our backyard, which is McLennan County, although we'll have to get kind of a clarity, legalese, government 101 type of rundown. Ben Perry, who's been on with us, the Commissioner Court out of McLennan County, is in a Zoom meeting, said he could try to join us here, if not in the next 10, 12 minutes, possibly at 3:45. Mike Shields, AD football coach at McGregor. I've been in contact with Ken Paxton's office. It appears we might be able to do something, get him on no earlier than maybe tomorrow or Thursday. Plus, Dr. Jamie Harrison, the UIL, will join us on Thursday. So Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina. Yes, there's a lot of news when it comes to Major League Baseball with what's happened with the Marlins as they've been shut down for a week, or anyone who's going to play them. And then there's news about the NFL. Is this all of a sudden like a transfer portal, except it's opting out of teams that could impact, who are the best teams in the NFL? Not so much just the pure talent, but teams that lose key players. Let's start, Craig and Paul, with this. Attorney General Ken Paxton today issued a guidance on the opening of local schools for the upcoming school year during the ongoing COVID pandemic. He responded to Stephenville Mayor Doug Sveen. He said, while playing an important role in protecting the health of school children and employees, local health authorities may not issue sweeping orders closing schools for the sole purpose of preventing future COVID-19. Rather, their role is limited by statute to addressing specific actual outbreaks of disease. School officials, both public and private, are the appropriate ones to decide whether, when, and how to open school. Now, everyone may take this as it sounds like each school district can make their own decision. I don't know if that's still the case. What does this mean?
I think it means, and again, it's a little bit open for interpretation, and I know Ben Perry can do a better job than I can of explaining it, but it sounds to me like a school district can say, okay, we're going to go full speed ahead in spite of this recommendation, but they could still decide to side with the Board of Health.
Yeah, I that's a as good of a guess as what I've got. I mean, like you said, that's a little bit open to interpretation. It's not exactly clear-cut what that means, but, I mean, maybe it does give a little bit of hope to some of these area high school football coaches. You know, we talked about it yesterday, and my main thing with the ruling from McLennan County is not so much the ruling itself, it's just the explanation or lack thereof behind it. You know what I mean? It's like if you're feeling as though there are numbers that are telling you or positive rates that are telling you that this is the decision that needs to be made, well, I think that needs to be communicated to the public. And you need to say, like, hey, the reason why we're not going to play McLennan County, like everybody else is because we feel like our positivity rate's too high, or we feel like there's too many recent positive tests. Like, explain to the community the reasoning why, and then I'd be much better swallowing that pill and saying, okay, well, it makes sense to not have football, but the lack of that and just saying, well, we're not going to do that, that leads you to go, okay, well, what the heck then? So, hopefully this does help provide some of that clarity. One
of the things that Ben Perry, who will join us most likely in 30 to 45 minutes, sweeping changes is a key phrase here. When you say the entire county is shut down until the first week after Labor Day, that's a sweeping change.
Yeah.
That means you're handling the county, but by saying that, you're talking about every school district is under this particular, I don't think it's moratorium, that's not the word, but he said what Dr. Feelgood needs to focus on individual school districts. He can meet and confer with them and suggest changes or protocol based on if a school district has perhaps a breakout or an issue or a surge, and then others that don't. Now, for example, I spoke with 2 or 3 school districts, football coaches, but also administrators today. Some of them have had no positive tests. So if you read Ken Paxton, it would seem as if those school districts could say, wait a minute, why should we be held up under the county when we've had none in the city, even if a city's 300 people?
Well, and also you can interpret it as, he's given them the opportunity to do what they feel is, to put it as simply as possible, to whatever is necessary. If they feel like they want to go forward, they can do that. If they feel they want to stop, he's given them the now what the health administration has done is said, look, you've got the power to stop if you feel you need to stop. Yeah. And I think that's probably a better way to go about it than stop right now.
Yeah, Jim Fortuno of the Associated Press was going to do everything he could to join us today, but even he, who's a government guy, handles things for the Associated Press for the state of Texas and the country in some cases, said he had to kind of wrap his head around this and make some calls. And we tried to get Ken Paxton on today. He was tied up. I don't know if we'll get him until tomorrow or Thursday, if at all, and by then it might be over. But this was also, Craig, responding to a request from Stephenville Mayor Doug Sveen, and they're not under any kind of lock and key, but teams that they might have been playing are in that role. La Vega's in their district. Conley.
Yeah.
And maybe others, and they're trying to open up their schedule to teams that right now can't play.
Well, the only thing that I do know for sure is that this is one giant mess. And, everything that's had to go through changes or through protocols in this country, I think it's shown us just how much of a mess things are politically and things like that. Because the chain of command, it's not real clear-cut. It's not real simple. And then this is obviously a story that has ramifications, but we're still not even sure quite what those ramifications are. And we need clarity to figure out exactly what this does mean. Because for all we know, nothing might change, and then again, everything might change, and we're suddenly broadcasting Connolly a lot earlier than we expected. So I'm very interested to hear from the experts who know what exactly this means, what they can tell us. But, I'm sure this was something that the football coaches across the state who have been affected in some form or fashion were excited to see that, at least there's some intervention.
Some of them said, hey, will you find out what his favorite liquor is? What kind of
Balcones,
cigar?
Right?
But also, Ken Paxton, part of this press release, education of our children is an essential Texas value. There is no current statewide order prohibiting any school from opening. While local health officials and authorities may possess some authority to close schools in limited circumstances, they may not issue blanket orders. Closing all schools on a purely preventative basis, that decision rightfully remains with the school system leaders. Yeah, I spoke to a former school board member locally this morning who told me, I said, hey, by the way, can a school district say, just screw you, we're going to play. We're going to go work out. He goes, well, they'd have to go to court. They would be going to court quickly. Argyle, Denton County said each school district kind of has their own right to do whatever they want to do. And Argyle said, okay, we're gonna start practicing August 3rd. School opens sometime in September, whenever it is, but we're going to start on August 3rd.
I think it's smart to be preventative, but I think you can be, overly preventative as well. And so, like I was saying, I'm interested to hear some clarity on what exactly this means and what exactly this allows certain schools to be able to do versus what they were looking at facing, at least in McLennan County a week ago. But, yeah, there is such a thing as being smart and being preventative, and then there's no real reason for being as preventative as you are, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the opinion by Paxton, the opinion says health authority can only close schools after they've had an outbreak, not prior.
Because if we were to do the preventative thing, we could do that until the end of time.
Well, there is a fear among some coaches I spoke with today at a mass text with about 20 coaches. I think there's about 20 schools in McLennan County. And I'd say 12 to 13, 14 of them were thrilled. They thought this was hope. And after yesterday getting kicked in the nuts.
Well,
right? And then others, there's one or two that said, guys, this is still serious. And there were 3 or 4 that just said this is just going to make us, this is going to let us down even more.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see what happens. What I'm concerned and what I'm glad that clarified was the actual powers of the health department, because as we've seen, positions can get politicized in a hurry. So that position would be really easy during a pandemic to very much politicize. So if it happens in McLennan County one way, it could happen across the country a lot of different ways because precedent breeds all over the place. So if one health official does this and then a bunch of them, and then they're overreaching their bounds, and then you start saying, well, we're going to open and we're going to close because I only think this thing because politically, and you're not basing it on fact, just on where your voting leans, that's a bad thing.
No, yeah, you're right about that. Here's also from someone else that sent me, goes, keep my name off of this, but I'm not a lawyer, but from what I understand personally, Ken Paxton does not have the authority to overrule a county order. Only Abbott does. But what maybe Paxton is doing is laying the groundwork for a lawsuit that would challenge the county order or providing cover fire for Abbott if he wants to issue an executive order. So that's kind of a little bit of a try to grab around to this. By the way, Midland Lee High School voted 8-1 their school board last night to change their name. Though not sure where that's going to go.
Midland Lee, home of Cedric Benson.
Friendship and Lubbock Cooper schools have voted to not let virtual students participate in extracurricular activities. If you don't go to school on campus, you cannot then participate in extracurricular activities because there's some that have the option of going to school or going and watching and doing your learning online. Real quick, and we'll have Mike Shields of McGregor. Again, Ben Perry, Commissioner Court out of McLennan County at about 3:45. Levi Norwood at 3:30. We'll have Mac Rhodes in an hour. John McClain, David Hellman, among others. Marlins games have been postponed through Sunday. They've had what is without question a flare-up. And Philadelphia, who just got finished playing them, have had nobody test positive, but the Marlins are struggling. And also Miami's in like a boiling pot. So their games have all been postponed through Sunday. And so the Orioles will host the Yankees on Wednesday and Thursday in Baltimore. Phillies-Yankees series has been postponed.
Yeah, and a note that I saw that was apparently over 600 Major League Baseball tests have been conducted, and the only team with positives are the Miami Marlins. And they've got like 30 of them.
32,640 COVID tests have been given to Major League Baseball personnel. 99 have been positive. That's 0.3% according to the statement put out by Major League Baseball. You will not probably see maybe a better figure, although the NBA's pretty much gotten theirs under control. The NFL's got a few, yeah.
And the thing about the Marlins is making all the baseball look bad when really it's just kind of them. That's the issue right now.
The city of Miami is one of the hottest of the hot
spots.
Then
make them. Then they should have started somewhere else. Also, Nationals players voted against going to Miami for the 3-game series. The decision will still rest with the Major League Baseball, but of course I just read that. All right. Patrick Mahomes is now a new member of the ownership group of the Royals. Later on, an opt-out group of NFL players with some stars But Mike Shields of McGregor ISD, high school football coach, what does today's comments from Ken Paxton mean in his opinion? This is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, that's what they have. Just heavy duty, bulky, best product you can have when it comes to metal, steel, and pipe. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 77 years in business, locations in both Waco and Bryan, open Saturday mornings 8 until noon. If you have or you are interested in building a metal building, if you're interested in building, having metal roofing, if that's what you want, or you have, you want to put together a big fence, you got a lot of acreage and you're trying to put up a nice, big, strong fence, whether it's because of farm, agriculture, livestock, or just you got a big, big place. They can do that and help you with that as well. Culverts, yeah. PVC pipe, you can whatever size or diameter you want. That's what they do. They've been Pioneer Steel and Pipe doing that and doing it well with great product, great customer service. That's what matters. And that's also why they've been in business for nearly 80 years. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, I remember when I sat down with Braden Embry just, a couple of months ago, and I sat down with him. He's a huge Baylor fan. So is the family, John and others, the partners. And they couldn't wait to be a part of SicEm365 Radio. We couldn't wait to have them on as well. I've been talking about Pioneer Steel and Pipe for a long, long time. Proud to do it again, over and every day if we can. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. And it's big, heavy metal, steel, whatever. By the way, they'll deliver it and unload it for you as well if you need. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
I mentioned that I have a text thread with all of the local, that I think, high school football coaches and school districts that are represented inside of McLennan County. And I was able to send out the Ken Paxton statement or the press release and got reaction and tried to get what coaches thought. And some said, hey, we're moving forward. And some said, hey, be careful. It's not good. This is a tough virus. Mike Shields of McGregor joins us, a part of McLennan County, of course, McGregor ISD. And Mike, what, in your opinion, I don't know if you've been able to speak to anybody as far as attorneys in the school district, superintendent, or anyone else, but what, according to what you saw and read from Ken Paxton, what does that mean?
Well, to me, it gives the school, their own voice, let's put it that way, to decide when you're going to start things, when you're not. Now, obviously, we're going to follow the health department until we get word otherwise, or from somebody above him to make sure it's official and all that stuff. Obviously, I do the same thing. I go with what my superintendent tells me. And right now, we weren't going forward because, that's what the health department has said, and we were going to stick to it until, as I said, until somebody higher up told us something differently. And this might be telling us something different.
Were you being hit by a radar detector by a police officer or DPS? I have to ask that question.
Unfortunately, I'm in my truck.
Okay.
And I'm driving just a little ways. I didn't have my seatbelt on, but I do now.
Okay. Yeah. So would you say that you went from zero optimism to at least a little bit of optimism?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. This has been the biggest roller coaster ride that I've ever been on, from last Tuesday of UIL saying, hey, we're starting, and then the health department saying, no, we're not starting, to now saying, hey, there's a chance you could start. So, yes, exactly. Went from 0 to 50, maybe even 70% chance.
Coach, there's obviously a hope amongst all coaches to just have some clarity sooner rather than later, but given schedules and things like that, I mean, being July 28th, when do you guys kind of feel like you have to know one way or the other on what exactly is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, we need to know this week because, like you said, my schedule, I've lost a scrimmage and 3 football games. I got 1 game left still on my schedule because it's with another McLennan County school. And so, I need to know something this week if there's any chance of me getting back my scrimmage and 3 other non-district games before we head into district.
Mike, You've lost games, right? Is that because of the ruling from McLennan County? You lost games.
Yes, most definitely.
So so you might have to reach out to people that others in the county. Are there enough teams to do that to make up the difference in the lost games?
Maybe. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, teams like La Vega, I'm not fired up about going over there and playing. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So now there are some email. Carl Padilla puts out a poll every week, and he's put out one of all teams looking for games. And so if I can't find them in McLennan County, then I may have to travel a little bit further than usually or, usually expected. But that's all right too. As long as we get some games for these kids, then we'll be happy.
All right. So we'll have Ben Perry on, by the way, Mike, Commissioner Court. He'll join us, County Commissioner, He'll join us at 3:45 if in case you're driving around still or want to pick us up on the app to get what we can get. But it's
most
been,
definitely.
Yeah, the roller coaster ride has been amazing. Thank you very much for giving us your opinion and also a little insight on what this means. At least there's a glimmer of hope, and that right now is better than what it was after yesterday's Zoom meeting with Dr. Werner and superintendents. Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you, Paul.
Mike Shields, McGregor ISD 80 football coach. Paul Catalina, David Smoke, and Craig Smoke. Coming up next, Levi Norwood, forever was the only one to return any kind of kick or punt for a touchdown until last year, right? He's next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. The people that you can count on, they have the deals for you. And the best part about this month of July that's, almost over, is that it's employee pricing for everyone at Richard Carr. You're paying what employees pay all month long. Right now, and still, with just a few days to go, qualified buyers can save over $7,000 on 2020 Acadias or Yukons, or save $6,000 on GMC Terrains. They've also got the Buick Encores, the perfect crossover SUV. I've talked a lot about those. They've got all the latest safety features, the latest technology, very roomy, quiet ride, and just packed with all of the bells and whistles that you'd be looking for in a new vehicle. Right now, Buick Encore only $19,900. That's a savings of $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. They've also got the line of Cadillacs, the XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. They're SUVs with all the ultimate luxury, power, and style that you're looking for. Right now, you can experience the thrill of owning the Cadillac XT4 for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. You get great prices when you purchase a vehicle. You also get free oil changes with a new purchase and in-town priority warranty service every time you buy a car from Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business, so stop by their daily disinfected showroom. See their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home, because your confident safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com. That's KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
So it's time for us to have a talk because obviously your buddies aren't telling you and neither is your woman. You've been driving that truck around exposing your stuff. It's not only embarrassing, it's disgusting. I'm talking about full frontal truck nudity and it's time for you to do something about it with a grill guard or a front-end replacement bumper from Pickup Outfitters. There are lots of good reasons to get a grill guard, like when Bambi decides to cross the road at the same time you're occupying it. But the best reason is that no one wants to see your junk up in your grill. Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive carries all the major brands of grill guards, including Ranch Hand, Cattleman, and even the Renegade brand made right here in Waco. And every grill guard we sell comes with our lifetime installation guarantee and no-worry warranty program. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check out our grill guards on our website at createacommotion.com/guards. createacommotion.com/guards.
Summertime means vacation time, and while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Brand spanking new 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cabs. Now 0% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $10,250 in total values. America's most loyal half-ton pickup owners are Ram owners. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels. Ask for details.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
How about that throw? Up top, on the hands. Levi Norwood, touchdown.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
By the way, there's been a handful of reports, college football websites and reporters, that the NCAA is allowing, if you want, college programs to start playing games at the end of August. Oklahoma had their game moved up a week, and now anyone who wants to play the last weekend in August, if in fact that works out, you can. To possibly gain some flexibility in case there are other delays as the season goes on.
That's something we got to ask Mac Rhodes about in the next hour, and I wonder if they've thought about that already. And Oklahoma's idea being that if you move up the game, you create more space between games so that if there is a pause, you have flexibility to move around the schedule. So that's the thinking of Lincoln Riley and company.
So if someone gets Marlinsed,
yeah,
you can wait them out maybe.
Yeah, you might have a couple weeks where you don't play a game, but you have that flexibility because of the way you worked your schedule.
Yeah. All right, so we're now joined by former Baylor wide receiver and also special teams kick return, punt return star, and just an overall just great dude, and Levi Norwood on SicEm365 Radio. Levi, great to have you on. Your father's now at UCLA, is that correct?
That's correct. I appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, you too, and you're pretty visible. Although we got to get into how you cook rice. I saw the video of the guy just completely just flabbergasted by this. I guess it was a BBC cook or chef or whoever on how do you cook rice. Now, so tell everybody what you're doing.
So first off, yeah, if you're cooking rice, you should have a rice cooker. Having some Asian in my blood, that was mandatory growing up. But right now, I'm actually here in Waco. I work for a nonprofit called Uplifting Athletes. I started a chapter of Uplifting Athletes at Baylor while I was playing, and came on with them full time in November. So I run all the chapters around the country. So we have 23 spread out throughout college athletics and college football.
And you guys is there like a challenge or something going on right now that you're doing, or did you just wrap that up?
We just wrapped it up. It finished up on Sunday. We were challenging people to come together and move, run, walk, bike, swim 7,000 miles, and recognition of the 7,000 rare diseases that affect 30 million Americans.
Levi, you've always been a giving back type of guy. Obviously, your father in the coaching profession, he's got some of that in him as well to be in that profession. And I know you got a big family. Where does that come from in the Norwood family, that desire to give back and help out the community?
I think it comes from my parents, and probably comes from my grandparents on both sides of my family, and even before them. But really, that's something that my dad has. I mean, you guys know my dad, and knows that's kind of where his heart is in giving back to people, giving back to the players that he works with, and that's also been passed on to us, and wanting to give back in whatever way we can, in whatever we do.
I always thought of your father, met your mother a couple of times, but I always thought of him as just a class individual, a gentleman. He was not going to be someone that got too high or too low. Is that the way it was, as much as he could with you as you were playing and competing along with your brothers?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. What you see is what you get. He stays the same at home as he does on the football field, and he treats all of his players like he did us growing up, and he wasn't going to go crazy and cuss and yell at you as a son, and wasn't going to do that for any of his sons on the football field either.
In the open of the show today, I played your punt return versus Texas Tech, and that was a game. Smokey and I, we didn't get to go to that one. We had to do a high school game. We had to listen to pretty much the whole thing on the radio as we drove back and off and on. But that was a game that Texas Tech jumped out to this big lead, and then you guys just kind of shook it off like it was nothing, and your punt return was a big catalyst for that. What was that game like?
It was awesome. I know for me personally, I felt like my best games were always in Cowboy Stadium, and that game wasn't any different. It's always exciting playing in there, and the little rivalry that we built with Texas Tech at that time. Every one of those games was always going to be exciting and high scoring, and knew each play mattered in those games.
Levi, how much time did you guys spend on special teams back during that era? Because, the thought was with those teams, it was all about the offense, and maybe special teams or defense weren't as paramount, but how much did you guys actually spend time on that aspect of the game?
We spent time, definitely not as much as some people do. A lot of my job as a punt returner was just being back there to catch the ball and give the ball to our offense, because we knew what we could do. And thankfully, especially that junior year, we had a group on our return units that wanted to see me get in the end zone. And so it was a 11-man effort to get us in the end zone. And so I think there's a little more focus on it that year and the following year, just knowing that we had the personnel to make plays on special teams.
What is it about guys who return punts? What is it about the mindset that you have to have? Because it's all eyes on you when the ball's up in the air. You've got the other team running down the field straight at you. You got to be kind of different, right, to return punts and to kind of be somewhat fearless. So what aspects do you feel like somebody has to have for that position?
Yeah, I see people kind of phrase it that way, that it's kind of a dangerous position to be in, and I've always looked at it as one of the easiest positions. For me, all you have to do is catch the ball. And I try and look at it that simply. Like if I catch the ball, I do my job. I can wave my hand and no one's allowed to tackle me if I think I'm going to get hit. And then for me, it's catch the ball, and I did my job. And after that, it's really whatever I want to do is giving the ball to the offense. So the mindset for me may be different than most guys. I try and keep things as simple as possible.
But being a wide receiver or a defensive back or maybe even a running back who handles the ball, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good punt returner, right? Isn't it more like just craziness mentally than anything else?
I guess so. I guess there's some kind of fearlessness to it. But I think that protection also, and knowing I could wave my hand and no one can hit me, you can't do that playing receiver. Or else I'm sure I would have done that pretty often also.
When was the first time you were asked to return a punt? And was it like simple, or did it maybe give you a little bit of, like, you spooked you a little bit?
As far as college goes?
Oh, any level.
So the first touchdown I think I ever scored in tackle football was a punt return for the Center Bulldogs in State College, Pennsylvania. And back then, punters weren't very good from then on through high school, and I could normally just let the ball bounce and run and scoop it up and have a chance to make a play. But I know at Baylor, the first punt I went back there for my freshman year, Kendall Wright came off the field on, what was it? No, he went over to me on fourth down. It's like, hey, Levi, you got this. Nice. So I hadn't been in the game at all yet. And he just pretty much threw me out there and didn't have time to think about being nervous for it.
So he made that call.
He made that call. Yeah. And then from then on, it was kind of my position after that.
Levi, when you look back, and I think when I had you on the Smoke Show back during the fall that you probably answered this question, but looking back on your favorite Baylor memories, what stands out to you? Because some guys answer, a particular game or a particular performance. Some guys answer just the camaraderie and the practices and being in the locker room. What stands out to you when you look back at that time period?
Being in the locker room for sure stands out. The friendships that I have now and the relationships I have with coaches and guys I played with. I just texted one of their old equipment managers right before I hopped on the phone. So there's relationships that I have that I'll have forever, and then also the memories playing games. I'll always remember that Texas Tech game, of course, because that was personally my best game. And then for some reason, playing at Louisiana Monroe always stands out to me.
That was the game that was like the close call, right? Until the end, you guys had to pull away.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was double overtime that we won in, but it wasn't supposed to go how it went.
Yeah.
But the environment there was something that I don't think we expected. But playing on a Friday night and the biggest game in their history, and they definitely came to play, and it was one of my favorite games.
You've seen what Baylor's done since the years you were there. They went through the downtime. They went through the dark clouds. They went through the struggles, the transition from Coach Prowse and that staff to Jim Grobe, who was interim. And then here comes this guy from New York. I mean, you've been around, so it's not like someone from up New Jersey. What in that area? You've been up there in that area, Pennsylvania. But what was it like to see Baylor turn the corner the last couple of years and get back on track? Were you, as a former player, proud of that? And do you think that some players who were angry with that transition of 2016 started to kind of go, hey, I want to start getting back involved with Baylor football?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I know it was definitely for all the guys who were playing and winning Big 12 championships. It was hard to see everything that's gone on, and no matter how you feel about everything, it's hard to see something like that happen at your university and people you care about not there anymore. And then now seeing everything turn back around has been awesome. And I will say with Coach Rule, you talk about being from Pennsylvania and the East Coast. His dad was my ninth grade football coach in State College, Pennsylvania. So was definitely excited to have the Rule family here for a little bit.
Did you see Rule ever walking around in that smock back even then? Was it like he was like 15 years old? How old have you been? He's older than you, obviously, but did you ever see him much?
Yeah, I hadn't met him until he got here to Waco. Yeah.
4x100.
Yeah, this was
this is the only thing that matters. And we put this up. This will be on Twitter. Craig's done a nice job of throwing it out there. We've had major fights over this.
RG3 and Lake. We're going to have to get them in a room. We even work this out.
Yesterday, Troy Baker said that he put together his 4x100. He said, I would include Lake, but he would probably pull a hamstring. and so, and I know you're a Clay Fuller guy, so because you saw him dust everybody. Yep. So who are your 4x100?
I mean, no one said Chance Casey. Mm-hmm. At least I haven't seen his name.
Okay.
But Chance is gonna have to be on my 4x1. Clay at his prime would be on it, and then it's hard not to put T. Reese on there, and then the last spot there's a bunch of guys. You could put Antoine there, you could put Corey there, you could put KD there.
Nope, you gotta give us one.
I think you have to put Griff there.
Okay,
there you go.
So Chance Casey, Clay Fuller, Tevin Reese and RG3.
Tevin Reese is the automatic almost on everybody's team. And then Antoine's like the automatic fifth guy, sixth guy, seventh guy almost.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Do people forget how fast in a straight line Antoine was because he was so good at changing direction as well? And he had he had just huge legs.
Yeah, I think you just look at him and think, man, there's no way he's that fast.
Well,
and then you can run, and you're like, oh, geez, you can run.
Yeah, Antoine made it look bulky, because he was
He's a big muscle, yeah.
All right, we have to go, and I know you do as well, Levi Norwood, but, I just went blank on what I was going to ask you.
I do have another question for him.
Okay.
Levi, I know you're also, very close with the Baylor basketball program. You're at all the games and, live experience there, but they're having a lot of success right now. And I know their season got cut short in the spring when they were, riding very high, but they're picking up big commits. Just what do you think of what Scott Drew's doing right now?
I mean, it's not surprising at all, especially after you look at the season that they had this past year, and who Coach Drew is. It doesn't surprise me that they're bringing in the recruits and continuing to build the program that he's built over the years. So I'm excited to watch more Baylor basketball. Hopefully this fall and winter.
Were you there? This is Clay Fuller goes head to head with Corey Coleman. I've been told Phil Bennett told this story. I think even Kim Mulkey mentioned this to me based on a conversation with Clay, who's her son-in-law. Was there a showdown race, a match race, and Clay Fuller took on the football players with all the guys that had all this speed and won that day, and they did not let Corey Coleman live it down for a little bit?
I think there was. I don't remember because I know I definitely was not in that race. I had no business being in that race.
All right.
But you're the punt returner,
place.
See, punt return's not about straight line. It's about vision, right?
Yeah. Just make the first man miss, and then just do what you can to outrun the rest.
Yeah, be crazy, fearless, and also focused on catching the ball and doing something with it. Thanks, Levi. Great stuff. We appreciate you jumping on with us.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
Levi Norwood with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, Ben Perry. He's a McLennan County Commissioner. He's been on with us last week to try to give us clarification on the Health District's ruling. Does what Paxton today, the Attorney General in Texas, how does that affect, if anything? And has he had any conversations with the Health District or anyone else? Ben Perry next with some hopefully clarification on SicEm365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, where you can, spice up your pickup truck or just protect it. Protect what's in the bed of your pickup truck. Simple as this. They have fantastic options for you and all the best product and all the best brands when it comes to pickup truck bed covers. Bed covers. And if you want, they can also help you with the bed liners to keep you from scratching the pickup bed, even though pickups are made to get, throw stuff in it. But they have the pickup liners, the bed liners from WeatherTech and Husky, exact fit floor liners. Buy the front ones, you get the second row, sometimes at a discounted price. Just ask Jay Arrett and the staff there. Now, they have the bed liners, spray in or lay in, but they have the bed covers for security, sheltering you from the weather and the elements, privacy and extra storage space, retractable, hard folding, one-piece lids, hard ends, soft roll-up, bed covers, plus removable paint to match. Pickup Outfitters, CreateACommotion.com. Jay Arrett, the owner, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home. How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio poll is brought to you by Pickup Outfitters, where everything purchased and installed comes with our famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
The roller coaster of emotions for school districts in McLennan County continued perhaps today. And the various schools, coaches, players, superintendents, and others as well. The UIL, remember, it was last, Tuesday? They said, let's go. And they kind of gave the schedule. Then later on that afternoon, the health district of McLennan County and the city of Waco said, not so fast, my friend. And then there was Ben Perry meeting with coaches, and it appeared to be positive. And then yesterday after the meeting, Zoom meeting with the Dr. Werner, it seemed like the water had been thrown all over a blanket. So I don't know. Today, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, releases his statement. And Ben Perry, County Commissioner in McLennan County, joins us for maybe some clarification. Ben, thank you very much. I know you're always on these Zoom meetings and a lot of different things you do. What, in your opinion, or maybe in McLennan County's opinion, based on who you've spoken with today, does Ken Paxton, what does it mean?
Well, Smoke, it's good to be with you guys again. And yes, it has been a roller coaster ride, and I'm sure people are quite exhausted of it. What the AG's opinion today, and let me speak of this real quickly. Speaking of the public health district, what it says is while playing an important role in protecting the health of school children and employees, local health authorities may not issue sweeping orders closing schools for the sole purpose of preventing future COVID-19 infections. Now, what it does is it does define what the health district can be responsible for, and it says rather their role is limited by statute to addressing specific actual outbreaks of the disease. School officials, both public and private, are the appropriate ones to decide whether, when, and how to open school. So the bottom line is until we, this is my understanding, and of course there are going to be others, but the school districts should be able to implement the plans they were working on prior to the health district's order that was handed down. If an outbreak were to occur in any campus that would threaten the health of the community, then the public health district would have the opportunity to step back in and address that specific campus.
Ben, it seems to me like this, the way it reads to me is it gives them an opportunity to go whichever way the individual school district wants to go. The health district has given them, what they believe their guidelines are, but they can attack it their own way. So if they want to go, they can go, but if they want to stop, they have the backup from what's been said. Am I wrong there?
Well, no, you're not. And the key thing to this is we have to keep in mind that these school boards and these administrations have been working for weeks, literally weeks, 6-8 weeks on opening up safely, and all had plans in hand. Now, some of them have chose to wait till Labor Day anyhow, or after Labor Day, and that's fine. And I support anything that they choose to do as long as they take the safety of the kids in mind, which they are. I support any of the approaches that any of them would like to present.
So, Ben, what does this do in terms of what we learned last week and what we discussed last week as far as McLennan County? Like, how does this change anything, if at all, with these coaches and their programs?
Well, as we spoke last time when we were on, they've been doing this since June the 8th. And so what I would assume from what I've learned so far and speaking with some of them is that the controlled practices that they were having or the controlled workouts they were having with the mask being used, the social distancing in place, all the safety measures that would be required, I would suspect that those will begin again in the very near future, if not tomorrow or later this week. So I think what we're going to see is a migration back towards the extracurricular activities unfolding as they typically do. Now, what they choose to do with regards to the students returning to campus and how they're going to approach that is still, I haven't seen very many plans yet on that. But I do know this from talking to them. Every one of them has a great plan, and they have put safety at the top of the list when it comes to these kids returning to campus.
What feedback, Ben, did you get, or what did you hear about yesterday's Zoom meeting? Because every coach who spoke to their superintendent, and I'm sure some were maybe even in on the Zoom meeting and watching from in the same room, seemed like basically that was a nail in the coffin on anything being able to change. Did you get that same impression?
Yes, sir, I did. From those I talked to, they felt as if they're really the meeting they were heard out, but there really wasn't any considerations given to their requests. So there was not a very positive feeling yesterday with regards to the season moving forward or the school moving forward.
So you're saying, or you feel, and you're right there in the middle of all this, is that because of what Ken Paxton said today, because there's still conflicting reports of what it means, that this could give each school district, whether it's Mart or Riesel or McGregor or whoever, the opportunity for them to make their own decision unless something flares up within their school or their area.
That's correct. That is exactly how I understand it at this time, and that's how I suspect everyone will move forward is with that concept in mind.
So if a school was to work out Monday, let's say a school said, okay, and a lot can change between now and then, but let's say a school decides or had already decided, we're going to go work out on Monday. What happens to them if they do? Is there any repercussion against them?
None that I'm aware of at this time. Basically, what this did today is it basically redefined the role for the public health administrator, which is if there's an outbreak that could pose a threat to the community, he can take action at that time. But at this time, it's up to the individual school districts, their superintendents, and the school boards with how they're going to move forward.
Well, and Craig mentioned this earlier, that if it's just preventative, that's a pretty wide blanket to throw that could just go on forever, couldn't it?
Well, it could, but I think as we move through this, guys, we're all learning things as we go through this. And I think the public health district, the commissioner's court, the cities, the school boards, we're all learning how to navigate this. And so I would venture going forward, you're going to see a lot more cooperation, a lot more communication amongst us.
Ben, what does this have to do as far as the announcement last week with McLennan County that games were going to be canceled? 6A was going to be able to play, but they're going to be delayed, but they'll play their full schedule. Does it change any of that? Like, for example, the 4As, the 3As that have had to cancel 4 or 5 games already, is that still remain the same, or does this open up the possibility that they can go and reschedule games?
I would envision this opening the possibility up for them to return to normal. Granted, they have to move forward safely, and if an outbreak were to occur, there again, we could see action that might have to be taken. But my understanding of this now is it allows them to go back to setting a calendar and a timeline that the school district chooses, and that would be both academically and with extracurricular activities.
The Ben Perry, County Commissioner, McLennan County, with us on SicEm365 Radio. So let's try to tie up in a bow, because by tomorrow it might change. We try to get Ken Paxton on. Obviously, his schedule's pretty busy. We appreciate you because we know yours is as well. So it appears that based on Ken Paxton, this gives everybody, each school district, an opportunity, whether it's China Spring or whether it's La Vega, whoever it might be, to have their own decision on whether or not they start working out as scheduled or as given the okay by the UIL on August the 3rd.
That's correct, Smoke, and that's what I was going to refer back to. UIL still has the ruling on this, and they still have the dates that stand and also the protocols that they would like to see used for safety features. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you're correct. My understanding is this allows the local independent school districts to meet and to decide what the timeline's best for them and how they want to approach this. Ben,
just from your standpoint, I mean, you're having to answer a lot of questions and you've got a lot on your plate right now. What, as someone involved with, the health and safety of the community and all of these coaches and schools and everything, what has this been like for you to go through and navigate through? And like you said, I mean, it's brand new and it's all, fresh to all of us. What has it been like trying to navigate this from your standpoint?
It's seeing some of the issues from both sides. It's extremely frustrating. I can assure you this. I'm huge on communication lines, and if we could go back and start this over again, and of course, keep in mind that the public health district had a total say in this, but I would hope that there would just be a little bit more input. It's so much easier when you're going to move forward and make decisions that you acquire some type of buy-in before you render your decision, and it seems like it makes it somewhat more palatable. So I would hope going forward that our lines of communication are much more open.
I know, Paul, we're at the top of the hour, but Ben, let me ask you this question. Can you just pick up the phone and call Werner? Can you just pick up the phone and call him and have a conversation with him, or is that even possible?
Well, no. Dr. Werner has been more than receptive and open to any of the issues that we've asked and that we've talked about. Now, you talk about a busy man. That's him right now as well.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, but no, I would suspect that he would be willing to visit with anyone with regards to his decision and how he made the decision, and then furthermore, what he sees going forward with regards to the AG's opinion.
Okay, I wonder. I had somebody tell me this. The legally, what also Ken Paxton may have been doing, and that's something that's out of my pay grade, legal, government, whatever, is that he's also protecting. Paul, you mentioned this, but somebody else said that he is also maybe setting up some sort of legal maneuver as well Have you heard anything like that to protect the state from being sued? Because let's say a mother or father of a child that can't play football or a cheerleader, they get, they get upset, they can't get a scholarship, whatever, and it may be because of talent, not this, or they go through depression. You know how it is. I mean, in this day and age, people can sue anybody for anything.
True, and I did receive a letter the other day from a licensed professional counselor in town who was quite disturbed at the amount of teenage depression patients that she's seeing now, and amongst other things. And so this is taking a toll on all of us, and we have to realize that, and we have to look at it from both sides of the issue. But I can't speak to that, but I do know that I had a couple of parents from one of the school districts that has a child with special needs that is losing all the ground that this child had made by not being in an organized, structured classroom environment, and a lawsuit was being considered there. So I can only imagine how many instances where, failure to educate or a child being financially disabled because if they weren't able to obtain the scholarship that they were working towards, I can only imagine what would be coming down the pipe.
Greg, anything else?
No.
All right. Hey, Ben, thank you as always. Appreciate you being available. I know it's not easy for any of us, especially those who are making decisions or trying to help. Thank you, Ben Perry, County Commissioner in McLennan County. All right, now.
So there you go.
I know we're at the top of the hour, but this is it, and we're going to get into that. The Mac Rose at 4:20, but Nick Foles, there's a report, nothing official yet, but the Bears quarterback Nick Foles might be the next person that may opt out. Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, Marquise Goodwin of the Eagles from UT, Eddie Goldman, starting defensive lineman for the Bears.
Tons of the
Andre
Patriots.
Smith of the Ravens. Patriots, the Patriots are being raided with this. Cowboys have a couple of and I don't mean to say that, but Canada and another guy, another receiver, neither one of them were going to be impact players. Could this end up being whoever decides to have the team that decides to stick together like a strike?
Maybe. I don't know. This is odd. I mean, whoever.
I think this is going to go from 5 or 6, 10 names to 100.
I don't know about that, but I do think it's a nice thing the NFL's offering that if you're going to sit out, you still get paid $350,000. So there was who was it? It was a lineman, I think, yesterday who declared that he was going to sit out because of some underlying condition. And yeah, he'll just sit back and not play this year, but he'll make $350,000. And that's not a bad alternative, but I don't think it's going to become the popular thing. I certainly understand those who have young children, new babies, which is the case of some of those guys that you mentioned.
Marquise Goodwin's wife just had a baby, and she's had several miscarriages.
Yeah, so that's understandable, but I think it's going to be somewhat limited. But I don't blame guys who decide hey, I don't want to risk anything, and I can still make a cool buck and not have to risk my safety or getting injured or anything like that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many guys do join the fray. But going back to Ben Perry there, I mean, that seems pretty significant what he just told us on the high school football front. But, again, we don't really know what it amounts to.
Yeah, because I've heard I had all 20 or how many schools there are that are football coaches in the area. 15 of them immediately said, I want to know what he drinks, as far as Paxton. Mm-hmm. And there's still some that are telling me that know more about the legal part of this. Wait a minute, this is not necessarily what it might appear. And that's why Jim Bertuno of the Associated Press, if he could join us later on in the show, maybe he can give us some clearance on this. And we hope to get Ken Paxton as well. All right, good stuff. All right, coming up, we'll come back with a couple of notes in sports. SicEm365 Radio, the text line brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, 254-339-1122. And if you were a coach, a superintendent, a parent, a player, what would you do if your school district could pull the trigger on the decision to play or work out or not? Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. This is SicEm365 Radio.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
On first down, Brewer, play fake, got time, delivers, catch made, Platt, Chris Platt, sprint for the end zone, touchdown Baylor. They sure did take their shot, 50 yards.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Don Hyde, this thread of text to these coaches locally. About 3 or 4 of them sent me a picture of somebody with what would be almost a Hannibal Lecter type mask on. They have been muzzled because they've been pretty, they've been outspoken. They're trying to fight for their kids and what they think is right. For example, yesterday, Don Hyde, who has been very outspoken, he's going to kill me for this. You want to go play golf? You want to participate in a horse show at the Extraco Event Center in Waco? Approved. Want to go to your independent school district, participate in extracurricular activities? Denied. My conclusion, hypocrisy has no limits. Again, Argyle, the school board approved for them to start August 3rd, said heck with Denton County. Well, Denton County gave them that option. McLennan didn't give the school districts that option, although now that might not even be something they needed.
Yeah, all the stuff you're talking about might be completely moot now based on what we just heard. Now, I think we got to let the dust settle, obviously, and there needs to be some clarification on what exactly this means for everybody involved. But the basic gist of it, for example, we're going to be covering Connolly football this year, and we're very excited about covering Shane Anderson and the Cadets, and we're looking at, having a season to cover, but having about half a season to cover. And now potentially, we went from a week ago having a full season to then about 5 days ago having half of a season, to then yesterday for sure half of a season, and now today, hey, maybe you can have a full season again. So that's significant. That's definitely significant. That's significant to us.
Especially since Monday is August the 3rd.
Yeah, and here we are. We're about to start the month of August, which is when you start rolling the ball out. So, yeah, they have to, who was the coach that just joined us?
Shields.
Yes, as Coach Shields said, he's got to know, like, this week, like, what the deal is, because they got to get their schedule figured out now, because they just had to take games off so that other teams could go and reorganize and find new opponents. But now they might be able to play again, so it's a lot to sort through. It's a lot to try and understand. But, I mean, at least it looks and appears to be a little bit of a positive, even though I know that we're kind of programmed now to wait for the other shoe to drop. But we'll see if that shoe does drop, and we'll probably find out here in the next 24, 48 hours, I would think.
And this could change. And, again, it sounded good. And then there's a few people that said, wait a minute, Smokey, be careful here when I asked him about what it meant. Ben Perry, it seemed like to me that he was very upbeat about the possibility that each school district has now their own choice to make.
Well, I think the most important thing that he said was just that communication needs to be better. That's the biggest thing, and that would solve so many problems, not just in athletics decisions like this, but just in life in general, if we all communicated a bit better. So I think with the way the county handled it last week of just making a decision without really any input from those who wanted to give their input versus how, McLennan coaches and officials had to watch Bell County do it, which was almost the entire opposite way, and come to a different conclusion, that created problems, and rightfully so. So that was a lack of communication, and that's something that next time you hope to avoid.
Mac Rhodes will join us in the next segment. We will get right into the fact that whether or not Baylor has looked at their game with Ole Miss as being earlier, because the NCAA, or any game, the NCAA has allowed teams now to start early and play the last weekend in August, which usually kind of was a classic, kind of a couple, like if you played a game in Australia or Hawaii. Remember back in the day when Baylor was going to play like Utah or
that
somebody?
That was Ole Miss before Ole Miss.
Yeah. So
they were going to play Cal.
But Utah's on the list now down there.
Yeah, they play them, I think, starting next year.
But it was going to be Cal. It was going to be Cal, and it looked like it was like rolling towards that. That seemed like 1,000 years ago.
That was Ole Miss before Ole Miss. Yeah.
What was the Australia game that might have happened?
That was that.
That was it.
Cal Baylor.
That's what I. All right, so Mac Rhodes will come up, and we'll see what's going on. The really what appeared to be phenomenal news yesterday on their COVID testing and also data. A couple of other notes about the mental health of the student athletes and what they might be going through. You heard what Ben Perry said, some things he was shared with high school student athletes or just high school students.
I was wrong. They play BYU starting next year. They get Utah starting in 2023.
Okay. 4:15, Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, SicEm365 Radio continues. Ideal MRI. I shared the text that I received from Rob Maxey, Dr. Maxey, about their business. He is thrilled with the response that he's getting and what they're getting at Central Texas Marketplace at idealmri.com with what they are as a title sponsor of this show. There's a lot of times when you try to stay in touch with a lot of your sponsors, and we have a ton of them, thank goodness. A lot of the sponsors that believed in us before we ever even started the show. And those who have joined us afterwards, and even others who are about to join us. An Ideal MRI right off the top. I told you Rob Maxey, Dr. Maxey, reached out to me on a direct message on SicEm365 and said, call me. I sent him proposals. Boom. Title sponsor. Small family business in Central Texas. Goal of bringing down cost of health care while maintaining high quality and state-of-the-art technology. Their MRI, the specialists, the doctors, you'll pay less, sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not, and they can help accept most of your insurance. No hidden cost. They offer financing if you need it. And by the way, everything you see is included in the price. There is nothing that you get in the mail later on down the road. Ideal MRI, where they can help with your bumps and bruises, you're broken or you're ripped and torn. They do it, and they do it well, and your local doctors and hospitals know all about them. So if you need an MRI or there's a doctor that suggests you need an MRI, ask them about Ideal MRI, idealmri.com.
Summertime means vacation time, and when you hit the road, do it in the vehicle of summer. Jeep. At Allen Samuels, it's our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Get employee pricing on brand new 2020 Jeep Gladiator Sport Editions, plus an additional $1,500 in retail bonus cash. And ask about 0% and no payments for 90 days on other Jeep models. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
After 2 weeks ago, when it seemed like that this segment was in jeopardy, I have been asked. Dr. Livingstone contacted me and said that from this point forward, when you start the segment with our athletic director, you will refer to him as MacArthur Bartholomew Rhodes, Sire the Third.
Yeah, that is not accurate and will not happen.
So the football gods, I guess, are they allowing games to be played? Everyone can start if they want at the end of August. Is that something that's even come into your consideration?
Yeah, it's week 0 as we call it in the blanket waiver by the NCAA. Probably not for us. When we were thinking about who our first opponent was, or still could be, Ole Miss on September 6th, I guess it is. But so it's I don't think it's an option. We've talked about it a little bit. I think, for us not to be a disadvantage, in being prepared to play week 0, we'd have to make that decision here very, very quickly. If you're playing week 0, you can begin practice regular practice on July 31st versus, August 7th if you're playing on September 5th, or for us, August 8th if you're playing on September 6th. So, are we prepared, knowing that, we didn't begin summer access with walkthroughs and meetings until July 24th? Would we be prepared and ready to do that on July 31st? And so, that's the big question. So, doubtful, but certainly, I wouldn't say it's 100% no, we wouldn't do that.
As it stands right now, when do you expect to know what the Big 12 plans on doing, so you do know kind of when you can go full speed ahead with whatever the schedule is going to be?
Yeah, I think, Paul, that is the question that we're spending, literally hours and hours, talking about in conversation, right? And I'll be frank with you. I don't know that I can tell you that, hey, there's a specific date that we feel like we have to make that decision, or we will make that decision. There's three of us right now, three of the A5s that are in a similar situation, right? We haven't said anything definitively in terms of an alternate model to the 12. I think we're all hopeful of 12. I will certainly speak for the Big 12. I think we're still hanging on to that. I think, candidly, it feels less optimistic, 12. But, again, because of what we're dealing with and just the unknown, that could change. And all of a sudden, here, a week from now, we feel much, much better about that. But, it certainly feels like it's less optimistic. All of us, again, the Big 12, we're doing our homework in terms of the optional model or models, and, obviously logistically, I don't think I'm telling any secrets, right? It's out there. You're talking about, is it a conference only? Is it conference only plus a game or plus two games, right? So those are all things that we, have had great preparation and would be ready to pivot when or if. We know that the Board of Governors are meeting, on August 4th, that Tuesday, and, they'll discuss certainly NCAA fall championships. Does that have any impact on our decision-making process? I don't know. If, one of the other two conferences comes out and says, hey, all right, we, for whatever reasons, have decided, hey, we're going to go with, conference only, or, conference plus, plus one, plus two, right? Does that impact? Do we feel pressured to make a decision? So those are all of the conversations that we're having and we're talking about. And, again, other than, our fans, and we're certainly thinking about our fans, other than, trying to prepare them and make sure that, we can do the best job in terms of, ticket sales, servicing them. I don't think, and we need to make that decision today. And so, we're not, and let's see, what else plays out. We're going to continue to listen to our medical professionals, and, they haven't told us anything different yet. Hey, you've got to go to 9, or you got to go to 8, or whatever that model is, or you have to go play in the spring. So that's where we are. And I apologize. I know that's a long answer, but literally that's what we're spending hours and hours talking about.
No, yeah, Mac, it's a lot to keep up with, but I guess just kind of summarize, no plans on moving Ole Miss up, even though teams can now do that. The schedule, you're still looking at it as remaining in full as of right now, and there's no real timeline on any kind of a final decision on the schedules being made as we stand right now. Is that kind of the summary there?
Yeah, and I'm listening to your summary, and I'm like, wow. So we really don't know what we're doing.
Yeah,
but that's the nature. That's what makes it so hard. That's the nature of it. And and I will always add the disclaimer, as of today, right, there are no plans to move up the Ole Miss game to week 0. Nor are there any plans, again, as of today, to move up our other 2 non-conference opponents, Garnet Word or La Tech, right? I would tell you that, logically, we're sitting here, and what is today, July 28th, I believe. I think, you're going to have to probably land on a decision about what's the schedule look like, 12, 10, 9, right? I think you're going to have to do that within the next couple of weeks. I don't think you need to do it today. I don't think you need to do it, on Monday, but I do think you obviously need to do it soon.
Mac, what is right now with how many? You have 500 plus athletes. How many are actually right now on board, so to speak? Just a given, like a couple hundred, or is it more than that? Or
I would say it's probably right. I'm just doing quick math in my head, but it's probably right around the 200 number when you're thinking about football and you're thinking about soccer and volleyball, and you're thinking about the basketballs now coming on board. So you're probably right around that number. Cross country, there's a handful of our cross country student athletes that we've onboarded. So we've deferred all of our other sport programs until the semester begins. So that's approximately the number.
So with yesterday's notes, the data, whatever words either or either, that came out, and the actual number this week is 1 for positive COVID test as far as active?
2 active they're monitoring, but one identified.
Are you blown away by, and we know this thing can change tonight, but are you blown away by, how proud are you of that number?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is positive. We got test results back from surveillance testing from football, and not one positive. So we're certainly grateful, thankful, proud of that. We seem to be in a good rhythm, right? Things seem to be really positive. As we think about season and when does it start, and does it start on time, and week 0 and all of those things, right? There's some unknowns that we don't know. That's probably not good grammar, but there's some things that we don't know, right? That when we think about actual practice in starting, on August 7th for most, August 8th for us, does that, because now it's different than walkthroughs, it's different, than OTAs and team meetings, right? What's the increased risk level? Does that impact the number of positives, right? So we don't know that. I think, Big 12, candidly, I think, it's a positive that you've got KU and you've got TCU and you've got Oklahoma playing week 0, because again, they can start practice on July 31st. So we'll have a heads up, is there any type of impact, right? You think about general student body, and again, logically, there's going to be a percentage of them returning that are going to be positive as they, mix, and your student athletes mix with them, what's that unknown? So, just a lot of things out there that we're thinking about, and again, don't know the answer to today. But right now, yeah, proud of that number. And here's what we do know. I've been asked a lot about the Marlins, and does that have a negative impact for the start of football? And I don't know that it does. I think if you start to see additional teams and Major League Baseball has to pause, then I absolutely believe that has an impact. But the Marlins case per se, what it does tell us is everything we've been talking about, right? Expect some cancellations, expect some delays, right? And so again, I don't know that there's going to be much that is normal about this upcoming season.
But it does say something, though, about your athletes that are here buying into what they need to do part of the problem with the Marlins is that, that they didn't really set up anything outside of their own facility and all that. And Miami's got a big problem with the outbreak anyway. But your athletes really seem to be buying into what they need to do to make sure that there's a season.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to discount that at all. Absolutely. I think it speaks to, again, we've talked about it, and I'm really proud of all of them, right? I think it speaks to our health and wellness team and how serious and prepared and all of the hours, right? Making sure we have a plan, making sure that we can execute it at a high level, right? It takes every single person to do their job, and that includes our student athletes. And I certainly feel like they're taking this very, very seriously, being extremely responsible. Doing what they're supposed to be doing to ensure that there's no contacting of or contracting of the disease, spreading of the disease. And so again, it's going to take a team effort and just continued just being really responsible, and you almost feel like too it's like going through a season without injuries, right? It's going to take a little bit of luck as well. So but I'm proud of our staff and our student athletes.
Mac, I apologize for asking you another question that I know you won't have a concrete answer for, but you did mention that, no plans to move up Ole Miss to week 0, no plans as of right now to shift Incarnate Word or Louisiana Tech. So that answers the question about your non-conference, but that week 2 game is a Big 12 conference game against Kansas. So I would imagine you're going to get clarity from the conference at some point, but what's kind of been the thought process of having that early conference game given the shuffling schedule as we see it right now?
Yeah, right now I don't know that it changes. I think that, if, all of a sudden we pivoted and we go to, let's just say, a conference only model, I think, we would do the best we could to keep the integrity of home and away within the conference, right? And then, potentially try to keep, current games scheduled as best we can. So again, I think right now, I'm not sure that game changes. But again, as you said, I certainly can't answer it in concrete and say, hey, definitively, this game will not change.
Okay. It's crazy times, it's what it is. It's like what you said to us many weeks ago. The one thing you could expect is nothing will be normal, but it seems like, doesn't it seem like, I'm sure with you, doesn't it seem like a month just evaporated? Because now we're up on D-Day, so I hate to use the D-Day, but here we are. I mean, you guys.
I remember when we had plenty of time to figure everything out.
Oh, my God, yeah, just wait and see. And now, I mean, you guys are up against what is, in some ways, not in a overly dramatic way, deadlines on, hey, we got to know, and we got to know what we're going to do, and we got to know how we're going to do it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was having this conversation today. I think, I remember back into like mid-April. Well, hey, I can't wait until we get to June 1 or July 15th, right? We're going to have so much more clarity, right? Yep. Well, if we only knew, right? And, and I think that, I think there's some wisdom in not making a decision that you don't have to make yet, right? I think the worst thing we could do is just say, okay, look, we're so tired of this uncertainty, and we just need to make a decision, whatever that is, and let's make it now. And all of a sudden, it's the wrong decision, right? And so I like where we are. I certainly don't like the uncertainty, but I do think that we're being smart in the way that we're handling it. And we'll see where we land here in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Anything else, guys? Thank you, Mac. Appreciate your time. As always,
all right. Appreciate you guys.
You too.
Thank you.
Mac Rose, Director of Athletics at Baylor. Yeah, it's, you look at where we are compared to 3 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 4 months ago. Well, 4 months ago. Yeah, 4 months ago. And here we are. Next week's the data, the test could be changed dramatically, but it seems as if they've got a grip on this, or they've got a pretty good idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to go all the way there just because, things are so ever-changing. And I know you're not saying like they've solved the riddle or anything like that, but no, they have handled it extremely well. I mean, there's no denying that. I kind of worried for them a couple of weeks ago whenever and it might have even been 3 weeks ago at this point, when they popped like a pretty good number of tests. It wasn't like 20-something like Clemson, but it was like 8 or 9 or something when we had been seeing 2 and 3. And so you kind of go, uh-oh. But, it whittled back down really quickly to the point where, there is an active case, and I mentioned, 2 active. Well, that second is more or less the contact tracing. So it's really just a case that they're looking at and dealing with right now, and we don't even know if that person's on campus. Like, that person could be off campus for all we know. So, you just hope that the numbers stay that way. And I had to ask, and I hate that there's so many things that we ask him that he just doesn't have answers for that I'm sure he would love to. But having that Kansas game early on, guys, I had to ask him about that because, it's one thing to shift that non-conference around or it ends up canceled entirely, even though they haven't gone that way yet. But you do play Kansas week 2. Like, that's a Big 12 game. So what do you do about that? And you kind of need to know that. So very, very interesting stuff, and yet still so much unknown.
By the way, in the last hour, Bob Bowlesby has said that they're working with a bunch of different models, starting week 0 and ending in December.
Right.
That's their,
there
that's
was
one of them.
a note from McGuire. We've had him on. I think his name, I forget his name.
It's like Jack McGuire or something.
He's covered the Pac-12, and then now where he's like, the SEC, hey, just wait till next week. Ask us next week. The Big Ten, we're done. And then the ACC, well, we got to figure out what the SEC's doing, and then the Pac-12, well, we're going to. And it's kind of interesting, but the different models, and the Big 12 has done that. That's kind of like treading water.
Yeah.
By the way, the Texas Education Commissioner Mike Morath, on a conference call with superintendents, says the previous guidance that schools would continue to be fully funded if they were closed by a local or county health order is no longer applicable, based on Attorney General Ken Paxton's new guidance letter.
Which means that's kind of going to push them to open.
Because they won't get money if they're not.
See, and that's just the wrong way to operate, man. We're not going to open back up because it's the right thing to do or it's the healthy thing to do, although I know there is some of that wording also, given. But really, we're getting back because of the money situation. Like, if you want money, you're going to have to open your school back up. Is that basically what it's saying?
Yeah, consequently, a blanket order closing schools does not constitute a legally issued closure order for purposes of funding solely remote instruction as described in this document. However, another valid funding exception may. So that's getting into the TEA.
But it's also going to get into teachers.
Yes.
Because they're like, plenty of teachers, a third of the teachers out there, maybe even more, are of high-risk age. So, I mean, they're going to want to have options. There's so many levels to this, and I get that we need the schools to open. That's fine, but, let's not do it just because, our political elephant or donkey god tells us to or not. That's where I think we are right now. That the elephant god and the donkey god are arguing, and we're like, oh, I like donkey god. I like elephant god.
Yeah.
Elephant god says yes, so I'm going to go. Let's stop that.
Let's just stop tribalism, period.
Here's a note from Clay Jenkins. He's a judge up in Dallas. Correct. It won't change much in Dallas County. Superintendents, educators, doctors, and the health officials are all working collaboratively to make the best decision for students. That's all one district. Well, it's Dallas and Richardson ISD. So, again, it could change by tonight. It could change by tomorrow. It will most likely change by even Thursday.
By the way, a medium-sized name, although he was a first-round draft pick. He was the only addition to the Packers wide receiver core this year. Devin Funchess has opted out of the 2020 season. And Aaron Rodgers is
this is
so
all
happy.
about it's the NFL's conspiracy that all of the teams that the Cowboys have to deal with.
Here we go.
I can't even name you their two guys, Kennedy and someone else.
Stephen Gidry. They both better not make the
Marquise
team.
Goodwin, who's a threat for the Eagles. Yeah, well,
I'll tell you though, going back to, in this same arena here, but going back to what you said earlier, and I just kind of took it back to the high school football stuff we were talking about, but Nick Foles opting out is very significant news, and I probably glossed over that a little, but you are talking about a starting quarterback, and I'm sure he's in Jacksonville now, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the Khan family is just thrilled by this news.
No, Nick Foles is in Chicago.
He's in Chicago.
Okay, Chicago.
And so
yeah,
they got rid of Trubisky, right?
No,
they
he's
had
still
Trubisky.
there.
They brought Foles in to compete with him,
and now
that may not
By
happen.
the way, and this is a story on Heartland, which is part of what we had with Mac. With a Big 12 conference, one of the options is to have a conference-only slate, week 0 and through December.
So week 0, week 3,
0, which
week
was the last
6.
week in August through December the 12th. At 10, 11 games, 16 weeks. I'm not sure how 11. The board of directors not expected to make a decision until sometime next week. What did you? Iowa State had a game that they lost. No, Ball State lost 2 Big Ten games, but they were replaced, one of them by playing Iowa State. Is that correct, Ball State?
Yeah, Iowa State has added Ball State to its 2020 football schedule, and this is why I was asking Mac about those non-conference games and even about the Kansas game early on, but Iowa State is going to play Ball State on September the 12th. They had a hole because the Big Ten schools dropped out, and who does Iowa State always play? They play Iowa.
Yeah.
So they had no Iowa game any longer. Ball State was supposed to play Michigan, and they no longer had a game. So, yeah, the two linked up, and I find that fascinating because if we're being told that these games aren't going to happen or these games are being canceled, this is a game being added to the schedule.
Actually. Yeah,
and so that's why I asked Mac a lot about the non-con was because the potential that if they've shifted it, that they would have to then go find another opponent.
By the way, here's a great quote from Bowlesby. Bowlesby and others in the conference worry about having athletes around larger student bodies as far as the campus, I would think. Having worked in higher education for my entire career, now going on 40 years, we don't want to put too much stock in the consistent good judgment of 18 to 22-year-olds.
Amen. That's so absolutely
true.
not.
Hopefully they don't test his theory, but damn, he's right. When we come back, Lonnie Judge, head football coach at Moody, his thoughts about Ken Paxton. What else has he learned? This is SicEm365 Radio. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters lifetime installation guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Lonnie Judd is a first-year head coach at Moody, once at Midway. He joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. Earlier today, we had Mike Shields of McGregor, Ben Perry, McLennan County Commissioner, and now Lonnie Judd. Lonnie, when you saw what Ken Paxton delivered, and yet I don't know who to believe anymore, but Ben Perry tried to summarize it. I thought he did a pretty good job. From what you've been told, and Gary Martell, who's a part of the UIL and one of the committees, your superintendent, what did you feel was what Ken Paxton said? What does it mean to Moody?
Well, hey, thanks for having me on today, Smokey. You know, I hate to say roller coaster. That's kind of what everybody's saying today, because it's like 1 minute you feel like there's no hope and we're going to miss all those games, and then all of a sudden you get a little breath of hope after that. And you know, I was driving down the road, and of course I'm trying to read my text while I'm driving, which I'm not supposed to do, and I see that, and to me it kind of opens things up again. So now we have a chance, and really. It gets me excited, but we know this, after meeting with all the coaches and all the stuff that we've been doing, there's not a coach in McLennan County that's not in it for the right reason and for the kids. And the health department's just got to realize that we're going to make the best decision for the kids. It's not all about football for us. It's all about what's best for our kids and for all the sports, not in volleyball. We're talking about band. We're talking about for all of that's combined. And you know, to me, it kind of opened the door up again for us.
Have you gotten any indication of a timetable from your administration about when maybe you can have a decision on what was released today?
Well, I know this, that I think they've already talked to the school board, and they're talking with our legal people, and they're kind of discussing it with everybody that's being affected by this, and we're hoping to have something by tomorrow.
What are you communicating with your kids? Because I know that with the way things went last week, there were a lot of coaches that got to tell their players great news, only to have to turn around and then tell them the bad news. So what are you kind of relaying to the players right now?
Well, you know, with them, I think this is a great opportunity and a teaching time for all of them, so they can see, you know, how are we handling adversity, and how are we handling stress, and how are we handling things happening, and you know, us keeping our poise. And I just keep preaching to them, hey, we just need to be ready at all times. And if we be ready, we don't have to get ready. And so you know, we're preparing to go on Monday, and we're preparing. You know, I've made probably 3 calendars and thrown them away. I've made probably 3 schedules and I've thrown them away. And it's just a preparation thing. And I just know this: as soon as they give us the green light and everything's safe and all protocols are followed and everything's in line, the Moody Bearcats are going to be ready to go.
I've asked a couple of other coaches this. How much extra work has been put on your plate as a result of having to learn, you know, about all these protocols and having to install all these processes? I mean, just how much extra work versus what you would normally doing right now has this been?
Well, I asked Mike Shields if being a head coach is this a normal year for being a head coach, being my first job like it is, and he said absolutely not. He said, you know, I think it's just so much of a team effort. I mean, it's a team of administrators and board and coaches and community members. I mean, if I have a question, I can call down the road to and ask somebody, or I can call. But it's just such a that team aspect of it, and to me, that's the whole key of all of it was communication. We've been trying our best to communicate to the kids and communicate what's happening, and our big deal is we just want facts, and we want to know what's best for our kids, and communicating those ideas. And to me, that's just been the hardest thing. It's been up and down. 1 minute we're saying we're a go, and the next minute we're saying no, we're all shut down. I would just like somebody to make a decision. I was glad I was listening to SicEm365 earlier because I got to hear Ben Perry. And I hadn't. I learned something from that. So to me, it's almost like if I don't get on Twitter, if I don't get on the radio, I might not learn something.
Well, if you don't get on SicEm365 radio.
Well, commercial there. Yeah, there we go. Coach Judge just jumped up my list here.
Hey, Lonnie, you said basically we're preparing to start workouts on Monday, but we are going to wait to make sure we get the green light from various levels of protocol, something of that nature.
Yes, sir.
Was that the case when you woke up before Ken Paxton?
No, not at all. Matter of fact, I went and sat through about a 3 or 4 hour district meeting where we were trying to arrange the schedule so we could still get all our district games in and, give us and Bruce Folletti a fighting chance. We went through all the different scenarios district schedule-wise, and we looked at playing a game every 5 days, which wasn't advantageous to us at all. We looked at trying to keep the schedule as much as we can the same and maybe forfeiting some games. But we went through a huge discussion this morning, and then by the afternoon, everything's kind of changed on it now again. So being in the front line of this, it's easy to kind of sit around and talk about it and talk about things going on, but the people that it's really affecting, it's been pretty tough.
Yeah, it is. You're right. And we've heard from different angles. It's been great. I was told earlier today by more than one program, not just what you said now, but this was even maybe before Ken Paxton, there's a couple of programs that were just bound and determined they were going to start working out on Monday. And so and of course now with what Paxton releases, maybe tomorrow there's a change. I don't know. But Ben Perry made it sound pretty positive. We'll see legally all of what this means, and I can't imagine what you have to deal with as well.
And to me, it's just where the final decision comes from. I mean, and I think that's kind of been the issue through all of it. I mean, is it the UIL? Is it the TEA? Is it the Health Commission? Is it to me, I'm going to do what my superintendent and my board tell me to do. Mm-hmm. And that's my boss, and that's who we go with. And I really think all those people need to trust the schools that they're going to do what's right for kids. And we've been in the front line of this, just battling it. And, I feel sorry for the principals. I mean, as tough as this has been for me, the principals is probably 10 times as tough for them because we've adopted 3 different school schedules already, trying to figure out when we're going to start school and how we're going to do school, and so for those principals, as tough as it's been for me, and it's been really tough for me, it's 10 times worse for those principals.
Well, yeah, because you're looking at worrying about the athletes in your athletics program, football, but others as well. As an AD football coach, he's worrying about the entire school.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, at Moody, they've all done such a great job communicating and working together, the school board and Mr. Martell and Mr. Miller, the high school principal, and Coach Garcia. We've been trying to be a team and staying together and working hard, and then every day is like a different world, so we got to start all over with it again. So it's the schools are working, and they're working for the kids' best interest in hand, and I'll promise you that.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, Lonnie. Good luck, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, no.
He's got the best Twitter at LL Cool Judd.
Yes, it's a great Twitter.
His Twitter. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you. That's Lonnie Judd, head football coach at Moody. Was 14 years an offensive coordinator, I think, or assistant coach at Midway during some of the early runs when they started to make an impact in the state with some of the wins that led now to what they've been the last decade or so as well.
And how about that shutout from Coach Judd on using the SicEm365 app?
Yeah.
And that's how he, who's right in the midst of dealing with all of this, that's how he was able to hear Ben Perry and get some clarification that he otherwise wouldn't have. So, I mean, we're going to cover Baylor athletics, obviously, but we're going to cover the whole gamut. And I know we're going to be talking some Cowboys here in the next few minutes, actually. But we are going to be all over high school football for sure, and going to be the leaders in the local coverage for high school football. So it's good to have these discussions and good to hear these coaches give their thoughts.
All right, when we come back to 5 o'clock hour, a lot of players in the NFL. Is a growing list, some of them bigger names than others. Deontay Hightower, is that the biggest one, Paul? I know Smith at Baltimore is good.
Foles is pretty big.
Well,
yeah, but Foles isn't confirmed yet, but yeah.
Oh, he's
so
not?
We'll get David Hellman, his thoughts about that and with the Cowboys as they are moving forward with everything. And then also at 5:30, John McClain will help update us quite a bit as well on many things NFL. This is SicEm365 Radio. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine, and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour. Hall of Fame writer John McClain joins us from the Houston Chronicle at the bottom of the hour. But David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, our Hall of Fame analyst of the Cowboys, joins us. David, what are your thoughts? You see players, it seemed like the list today kind of, I don't think exploded, but it kind of had a surge of its own with players using the opt-out factor for the 2020 season.
Yeah, and I mean, explode might not be the right word, but, players have until Monday to weigh this and decide what they think is best for them. So I certainly don't think that we're done with opt-outs. Green Bay's Devin Funchess just opted out in the last half hour. So, me personally, I said it on Twitter earlier today, I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of these guys are young with young families. You don't even know if the season's going to finish. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what kind of dangers it might present. So, for guys who are hanging on the fringe, who might not have a career outside of this season, I think that's a different story. But if you're an established NFL player with a contract and you can take $150,000 or $350,000 and sit this out and come back next year, I completely understand it. And that's why I think, over the next 4 or 5 days, I wouldn't be surprised if, a decent number of other guys go that route as well.
David, we talked earlier about how this is going to be a difficult training camp for some undrafted rookies to make the team. Now it might flip depending on which team you have and how many opt-outs they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's weird that, you kind of have to weigh all of this simultaneously, because I just made the case for why a more established player would want to opt out. But then if you're a guy, let's say you're with the New England Patriots and you're on the fringe of the roster, and today 5 or 6, really important members of their team opted out for the season. If you're a linebacker on the Patriots roster and you see that Dante Hightower is not going to play this year, that probably presents a bit of an opportunity that you didn't have before. So, depending on your situation and your financial status and a whole bunch of other variables, it's interesting to think the different number of decisions these guys could make, because I think you can make a pretty good case for staying in or opting out depending on where you're at.
David, what is your thoughts on the conspiracy theory the Patriots are just tanking for Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, what I honestly think is, like, every single time the Patriots do something, they have developed such a reputation, and I mean, deservedly so, but they have developed such a reputation that everybody just assumes that they're mad geniuses, which maybe they will, but I don't know. I mean, even without Tom Brady, you're talking about a team that's, been to the Super Bowl or been on the cusp of the Super Bowl for most of the last decade. I don't know if I buy that losing a handful of guys is going to take them from being that good to, the worst team in the league. I mean, the Bengals won 2 games last year. So to get the number 1 overall pick, you got to win 3 or fewer games. I don't think I buy that the Patriots would be that bad.
Right. Yeah, it is fun to see people poke at them. Now, you kind of addressed this a bit earlier, but I saw you breaking it down on your Twitter. For guys who weren't going to probably make the team or we're going to be facing free agency soon, how does the opt-out decision affect them contractually? What does it mean for them moving forward?
Well, there's a pretty big difference. So, I mean, if you're an established veteran with a contract and you opt out, basically all that happens is your contract rolls over into next year. So Maurice Kennedy is the veteran cornerback for the Cowboys that opted out yesterday. He's on a 1-year, $1 million deal. So essentially, he just goes on hold until next year. So he was set to be a free agent in the spring, and now it'll be 2022. So now it'll be 2022 instead of 2021, and you deduct his $150,000 salary out of next year's, or stipend, out of next year's salary. it's different for an undrafted guy. There's no stipend involved there. They're just basically taking their chances that they can find work when they start up again next year.
David, the Cowboys have had two guys, Marcus Canady and Stephen Guidry, a defensive back and a wide receiver. Canady had a better shot to make the roster than Guidry did, but so far, and again, I'm probably jinxing by saying this, but so far so good for them in that both the guys who have opted out are very much on the fringe.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have been interested in to see what Canady could do. Obviously, he's not going to be one of your top 3 cornerbacks, but they brought him in here as a special teams ace. I think John Fossil had a lot to do with that signing. And, you talk about how bad the Cowboys special teams were last year. I would have been intrigued to see how he could have helped improve that. But yeah, I mean, we're not talking about losing a Dante Hightower, a perennial Pro Bowl linebacker for the Patriots, which, like I said, it's going to be an interesting wait because players have until Monday to weigh this. So I haven't heard anything about any major Cowboy players opting out, but, until that deadline passes, who knows?
Yeah, the winner of the NFC AFC is going to be whoever has the least big names not opt out. Simple.
Well, and I mean, I wish it were that simple, but then, I mean, you talk about, once this stuff actually gets going, what's going to be the luck of the draw? I mean, there's going to be positive COVID tests. I feel like that's almost a certainty. I mean, we're going to see some good NFL players diagnosed with COVID-19 over the course of this season. I think that's just the cost of doing business during a pandemic. So, are we going to be faced with a situation where a very good quarterback contracts something, or if a very good quarterback opts out of the season? Yeah, I mean, there's so many variables that I don't even know that you can weigh them all because it's impossible to keep track of how many different ways this season can change because of all of this.
Yeah. David, just to that point also is the Marlins situation that happened today. The NFL has a plan in place, but it probably wouldn't prevent anything like this from happening. Do you expect to see the NFL scramble once they figure out what Major League Baseball does to address the Marlins?
All I can hope is that the NFL learns a few things from what's going on. I'm not a baseball reporter, so I don't know the full depth of everything that's happening with them. But some of the stuff that you're hearing about how basically the team self-determined that they were going to play despite the COVID test with no oversight from the league. I mean, that just seems insane. That seems absolutely ridiculous that the league and the commissioner's office doesn't weigh very heavily into those conversations. I mean, you shouldn't leave it up to players about whether or not they're going to play because they're alpha competitors and they're almost always going to lean toward playing, even if it's a bad idea. So, like I said, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I hope the NFL learns a couple things from that and has a very well put together oversight situation.
All right, so let's go through the timeline. I know that training camp starts here pretty soon. There are players on campus now, is that correct, that are getting COVID tests? Is that right?
Yes, the rookies and the injured players from last season have been tested. They've been cleared. They're allowed in the facility. There's a little bit of meetings and stuff going on, but not much in the way that resembles real football. I believe the veterans started getting their tests today. So your Dak Prescotts and your DeMarcus Lawrences are allowed to get tested today. They're going to spend the rest of this week getting tested and cleared. I believe Saturday is when they're allowed to check in and kind of get acclimated, assuming that they've, cleared all the testing protocols. And then about a week from now is when you can start doing football-related activity. Now, obviously, the amendments to the CBA say that there's got to be an 18 to 20-day ramp-up period. So we're not going to see something that resembles a real football practice until, mid-August. But about a week from now, the healthy members of the team should be allowed to get together and start doing training camp related activities, I guess.
Do you know when you'll be allowed back in the building?
I have no idea. That's the funny thing is, I've had a few conversations with people that assume that I'm back at work, and, I'm very, very far down the totem pole in terms of people who need to be, it's kind of like a need to know, the level of your importance dictates when you get in the building. So I expect I'll probably be the last guy back. So hopefully when the padded practices start, they'll have figured all of that out, and reporters will be allowed to watch from a distance, or whatever that looks like. But as of right now, I don't anticipate I'll be back anytime in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
David, we've talked about a couple of players opting out, but Antoine Woods does agree to a new deal, and 1 year, $750,000 for him. How does this alter, if in any way, the plans defensively for the Cowboys, and what does this, I guess, answer for them moving forward?
Well, it just kind of answers that he's on the team, which I know that sounds dumb, but it's been a weird situation with Antoine, because he's an exclusive rights free agent, which basically means the Cowboys own his rights if they want them. If they tender him with that 1 year deal, he basically, his only options are to sign it and play for Dallas, or sit out and not play football. And so typically, when an exclusive rights free agent gets tendered, he signs it almost immediately, because what else is he going to do? But the Cowboys extended that tender a long time ago, and Antoine didn't sign it until this week, which kind of, created a lot of confusion along the lines of like, well, is he going to sit out? Is he not planning on playing for the Cowboys? What's going on? And I still never really got a great answer for what the delay was, but he finally signed it, which basically just confirms that he'll be part of that D tackle rotation. I don't think it really changes anything. Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe, I would guess, would still be your presumed starters, but it does give you an experienced one technique to add to the rotation.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
God, there's things to discuss, not just what ifs, but there's still some of those. Now, the mayor of Stephenville, and I got to give Paul Bradshaw from Baylor University, who is the liaison between Baylor Athletics and also Baylor women's basketball. Paul Bradshaw sent me a text earlier today that when you read the Ken Paxton image or the statement, the reason Ken Paxton today issued what he did, by even became a topic, was because he received a request from Stephenville Mayor Doug Sveen, and I'm hoping to get that name right, S-V-I-E-N, while playing. So he actually was asked by the mayor of Stephenville, as we brought up earlier, what's going on here? What can this mean? We will get him in the next segment. Paul, can we do that?
Yes.
Break here, because I know that because of you and Paul and Craig and whoever that we got behind on breaks, we did.
Hey, when I tap my watch, what does that mean to you?
It means
that I have a watch?
For me, I don't wear one.
Am I just telling you that I have one?
So when we come back, the mayor of Stephenville, on how this all even began and what it means as of this moment for him, and why would Stephenville be involved. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home. How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio poll is brought to you by Pickup Outfitters, where everything purchased and installed comes with our famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, if you read deep enough, if you read what actually when the press release from Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, was released, it was in response to what apparently was a request from Doug Sveen. He's the mayor at Stephenville, and he's on his way on traveling right now, but he was happy enough to join us on SicEm365 Radio. David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke. Mayor Sveen, thanks for your time. Can you kind of give us a little background of how this might have begun?
Well, I've been listening to newscasts about other counties and the decisions they were made, or cities, and the decisions that were made to close schools. And I just wanted to make sure that if the local health authority had that power to do that, exactly what power, was there any limitations, was there any duration of that power of those decisions, and anticipating that was a possibility. I just said I wanted to understand the ramifications. So there is an email process that you can send questions to the Attorney General during this pandemic. And if you're a mayor or a county judge, you have that access. And so I've taken advantage of it on a couple other situations and sent in a question on Friday. And they called me back Friday afternoon, asked a lot of questions. Why did I answer the question? And I told them what I just told you. And they said they'll get back with you in a couple of days. I heard about it, heard a response from them today, and said I'll be getting a letter in a little bit. And the letter you have is what they sent to me. That's a little bit of the background.
Do you feel any clarity now? Because there's a couple different layers to the order, or the statement that he made. Do you feel clarity, or are you still a little confused?
Not at all. I think and some of it may be coming from me talking to an assistant attorney general, and she called and said, "Here's what the letter's going to say, and let me explain to you what the meaning is." And so maybe I have a little more clarity because of that. But the interpretation I have is that if there is a specific health issue, a crisis in a certain situation, a health authority can say, I'm declaring an emergency, and an emergency is related to this situation, and therefore I'm taking the following actions. Then the school district would have to follow their protocol that's approved by the state to eradicate whatever the health issue is. And once that is eradicated, then the order is time limited, therefore it's over with. And that's pretty clear to me. The biggest question that I think happened in your county, actually, is that there was a decision as a preemptive decision, to close all schools or not allow them to open. And that was pretty clear in the letter that there is no broad preemptive authority. I think the phrase they use, I don't have it in front of me, I read it one time, but I think in the very last part of the letter it says there's nothing that from a prophylactic perspective, means to prevent something from happening. They don't have the authority. It's to address a particular emergency.
You know,
and it has to be very specific.
Yeah. And Stephenville is somewhat affected by this at high school. I know that you're the mayor, but they had a non-district game with Conley. They're going to play La Vega in the same district, and it kind of, and so it's. So let me ask you this: if you were a superintendent of one of the schools now in a county that had been at least told they couldn't do anything until the end of October or early September, do you feel like then that it gives them the green light to start working out Monday if they're a 4A or below?
Well, you're getting outside my pay grade. I'd say they probably ought to call their school attorney and ask them for advice.
Yeah.
That's, they're the superintendent. That's why they pay those superintendents so much money, I guess. But, I'm sorry about all the I'm sorry, Matt Underwood. But I guess my point is I believe that in the letter that I sent, or the email I sent to the Attorney General, I just said that the school board is a duly elected board of a government entity. And what authority do they have versus what a health authority has? Mm-hmm. And so that was the response that I got, was they have some authority to address a particular emergency, but not a broad-based decision-making authority. So I think it was a good decision. I think the school district have physicians on staff in Stephenville. The school board has agreed to sign an agreement, some type of arrangement with Cook Children's Hospital to review all their procedures, their processes, etc. And I think that was a great decision that they made. And so I think they're doing a good job to protect the kids in Steamboat, Texas. I think all superintendents are going to do the same. I think it's a good decision. But again, the issue with me was I just wanted to know. I asked the Attorney General if they have authority to do this, and it's ultimate authority. I just need to know that, because if that were a decision made in my community, that would be something that would be a political nightmare that we'd have to deal with. So I just wanted to know in advance, what is the authority of the local health authority? And I got a pretty good answer.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, my question for you is, did you realize that you were going to be a part of this one statement or press release from the Attorney General that went statewide where everybody now knows who you are, if they didn't already?
No. Well, after Stephenville, Texas. No. She did say the lady was very nice. I mean, she's an incredibly nice lady and very helpful. And she said, I want to know, can I address this letter to you? And I said, sure. And she said, well, it'll become public when that happens, because we'll send it across the state. And I thought, well, that's fine, because I'm just asking for the city of Steamville. Yeah. But no, I did not realize it would hit the waves as fast as it did, or as much as it did. But it is obviously a hot topic. She had indicated that it was a very there have been a lot of people calling, sending emails, etc., asking them for some direction on that. And she said, we'll be happy to deal with that. Just FYI, this hotline that they've created, it's the third time that we've communicated with them, and as mayor, and I'll tell you, they have responded immediately, very cordial, answer every question you have. So anybody has any city, any mayor or county judge could use that same and ask for more clarification. I think they're great folks. I mean, it's one example I can tell you, big government works well.
Paul, I just wanted to know, how has the city of Stephenville kind of come through this so far the last few months?
Well, Stephenville is, we've had a rash of positive cases recently. We went several months. We'd have one or two cases at a time, and now we're up to 300 and something, but active cases is well below that, and we're getting better all along. So Fortunately, the answer to this crisis is social distancing is the biggest one. I think wearing masks. I have a mask on right now, and I'm not wearing it in my face. But I got one around my neck. It's in case I step out, I'm able to use that. So I think those are two ways to protect the community. I feel responsible for not only my health, my wife's health, those that I come in contact with. So I think those are two ways to fix it. And Stephenville is a great, strong city, and I believe that we're going to do what we have to do to get through this. Economically, socially, medically, community is all behind it.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it, Mayor. Appreciate your time. Thanks for calling me back on my request, and good luck. Be careful on your ride. I know you got a couple of 100 miles or so to go. Be careful. That's Mayor Doug Stephenville Mayor. He's the one that reached out to the Attorney General's office. His name was on the Ken Paxton statement, and thanks to the Paul Bradshaw, Baylor University, for giving me that heads up. And I learned a lesson today, which is hard to be when you're stubborn in 61, is that when I read Ken Paxton's release, or press release, I read it, and when Paul then sends me a note about the mayor of Stephenville, I went, why do I care? And that's how much I didn't read thoroughly, which is one of the problems today on social media.
Shocker.
What?
Yeah, well,
what the hell does that mean?
He might. What? He didn't read it all the way. I imagine
this is SicEm365.
Yeah, I imagine he might be receiving a lot of little Christmas gifts from football coaches across the state, depending on what happens here moving forward. But, again, it boils down to communication in everything that we're talking about. And I think we've identified that the lack of was a real issue for these coaches, and that will hopefully change for the better. But it does take somebody to speak up and go, wait a second, like, why is this happening, or what does this mean? And had he not done it, then who was going to? You know what I mean? So we'll see, how this changes things. Obviously, we're still searching for more clarity, but yeah, there might be a lot of new Christmas gifts in his way, depending on what happens.
Here's some bad news for Mayor Sveen, though. I now have his number, and I've long wanted a Butch Henry statue and street named in Stephenville.
Yes.
And now I know who to go to.
Yep. I just had a local coach, 20-something schools in McLennan County, that was not one of the 3 or 4 that had told me they were going to start working out Monday. We just heard from what Lonnie Judge said at Moody that they're making plans to start Monday, but you're still going to wait to make sure the green lights are where they need to be. For school board, of course, and the superintendent. I just had another school say they will be on the field Monday morning.
Nice.
And now, if in fact this is what turns, it will be interesting to see how these schools that begin to work out August 3rd, who thought they couldn't, now have to recapture some of their games.
Well, there's that, and I think it's also important to mention, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I know that a lot of these school officials are doing this for what they believe are the right reasons, and I just think that there was a lack of explanation in some of the decisions that were made, like the one last week, which we've already identified as just more about communication than anything. And this is all, I think it's great. I think it's great to be moving forward. Now, of course, can't let the guard down and, suddenly start feeling comfortable. We've all got to stay on our toes and stay on our A game and do what we need to do as individuals to be responsible for, our public health. But I think overall this is a benefit health-wise for these young men and these young women and these coaches, and hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully nothing gets too out of control, and this does more good than any negative.
Let me tell you this. If I wanted to trust it, I know that people, they just want to go coach football, play games, and yeah, I get that. That's their job. That's their profession. Just like we want to do talk shows or somebody wants to, fix tires. But the stats are that these coaches have been listening to the CDC or have been listening to the health officials and have been going by the UIL protocol from the beginning with very, very, very few. Now,
because they want to play.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, they're not.
So they're, like I told you, when I went over to Bosqueville, I think that was the last school I'd went to go see Clint Zander. I walk in the office. This Bosqueville, they're getting a new couple of things, concession, whatever, and there's a lot of work going on. People, everybody. The kids out there where they're lifting weights had masks on. And when I went to La Vega and Conley that day, they had masks on. And they're doing it. They're being smart. They are. Now, what they do when they leave, guess what? If they have workouts at a school district on campus from 8 to noon or from 10 to 12 or from 8 to whatever, that's in front of people who are making sure they're protected.
And if they
not
don't,
at home or at the lake or God knows where.
Okay, if we're nervous about college athletes, if we're nervous about Lou Williams in the NBA bubble, a grown-ass man.
Oh, by the way, did you see the latest update on that?
Oh,
I don't
God.
know. No. So Lou Williams got in trouble with the NBA because he broke protocol, broke the guidelines by going to Magic City, which is a famous strip club in Atlanta, because in his words, he loves the food there. So whatever. But the latest addition to this story I saw from somebody was that, the Marlins outbreak, those guys might have had a little fun in Atlanta and gone out after hours, and that's where they think this might have originated from. So those two stories now might be meeting in Magic City at the epicenter of it all.
Oh, Lord.
By the way, where we stayed in Atlanta was not too far from there.
Oh, was it not? Really? I'm surprised that we didn't go.
It was a hop, skip, and a jump. I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah, I am too.
But if we can't
I
count
want to see the receipts you turned in.
on professional athletes to do it, grown men, then 15, 16-year-old kids, come on.
Well, and I'll go back to what I said about Baylor testing and bringing the athletes back, that I think that for everybody clamoring and going, oh my gosh, we're bringing them back and the disease and everything. Yeah, but how many cases were identified as a result of that? And so I think the same thing that, teens and 20-year-olds are popping big positives right now. And as we work our way through this virus, and I feel much better about 17 and 18-year-old young men making the right decisions because they have this to look forward to and to hold on to versus, hey, there's no football, there's no, nobody watching over you. And I think that it's a good thing that there's going to be these protocols and this overview from the coaches on the high school, college, and professional levels.
By the way, Katy ISD, ending suspension of strength and conditioning camps, all activities permitted to resume Wednesday, July 29th. That's smack right there, not in the middle of Houston, but right there in the big galaxy of Houston. And coming up next.
They're not wasting time. That's tomorrow.
John McClain, Houston Chronicle, next on SicEm365 Radio. I got yet another picture, and this is not about snakes. This is about, Waco Custom Marketplace. I got a picture from Taylor of a big, gorgeous, pretty darn thick bone-in ribeye that was on his grill that had already pretty much been done. You could tell, had the markings, everything was perfect. And then another one of a picture on his grill of a big, thick filet from Waco Custom Marketplace. Yep. I don't know. I cannot remember the last time that a weekend went by where I did not receive a picture from either Brian or Taylor or many of you of what you have bought at Waco Custom Marketplace when it comes to beef, steak, even burgers or tri-tip or brisket or more. And they have seafood from shrimp to mahi-mahi, salmon, and then, of course, the poultry and the pork as well. You can buy specific pieces of a cut-up chicken or the whole thing. And then they got some of their own smoked sausage that's fantastic. You know what also they have? Some new ready-to-eat meals that are also with side, like Texas lasagna, sriracha potato salad, twice baked mashed potatoes, fried chicken salad, broccoli rice casserole, and hog balls. I asked jalapeno and cheese wrapped in smoked brisket and then layered with bacon. God.
That sounds good.
I have to go.
That sounds better than the first thing that popped into my head.
I just had to ask. I was worried about saying that on the radio. And I'm telling you, throughout this week, jalapeno poppers, pork medallions, piggy sticks, select ribeye steak, $11.99 a pound. I'm telling you right now, they are rolling at Waco Custom Marketplace. Custom make your custom cut your whatever you want from the butcher shop, the bakery, fresh baked bread, kolaches, cinnamon rolls. Golly, it's there on 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna. And now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere. And yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's summer. Time to go somewhere in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. It's our huge summer clearance event featuring 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on our hottest models. Pick a new 2020 Jeep Cherokee Latitude with $5,750 in total values or 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or the fun 2020 Jeep Renegade with up to $7,000 in total values or 0% for 72. Adios 2020s from Allen Samuels.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. John McClain, Houston Chronicle, Hall of Fame writer. Dodgers and Astros are about to launch, by the way. Maybe that's the right word. I had a couple of comments from Dusty Baker here in a minute. John, your thoughts about, you see this almost like in college football, the transfer portal, in this case, the NFL's opt-out portal, so to speak. Your thoughts about a little bit of a surge going on today in the last couple of days?
Well, the deadline is August 3rd, and I think we'll see more. Once people opt out, they cannot come back in 2020. Their contracts toll, which means if you come back next year, you're playing under this year's contract. And if you take the 150,000, it means that you have opted out with no pre-existing physical condition, just because you're worried. And if you have a pre-existing physical condition, good example, Patriots offensive tackle Marcus Cannon had cancer at TCU, so he is getting $350,000 and a credit toward his NFL career, but he will still have to come back under the same contract. And the Patriots have lost 6 players on top of 3 other defensive players who left in free agency. They've now lost 7 players off of one of the, if not the best defense in the NFL last season. And I don't blame these players, and I believe what's happened to the Miami Marlins has played a role in that they're worried that this is going to happen to the NFL, because in baseball, they're not piling on top of each other for 3 hours and bleeding and sweating and spitting on each other. So I think this is a sign of what could be on the horizon for the NFL once they start playing.
Could this look almost like a strike year where, it wouldn't be scabs, but you see a lot of, young, inexperienced, undrafted players all over rosters everywhere?
Well, what they're thinking, Paul, is if everything goes according to plan and you don't have insurmountable number of positive tests, and remember, they're probably going to have a lot more injuries this year because players were on their own in the off season. They could get instruction, but they had to work out on their own. That's one reason the union insisted on a month before they put on pads, the acclimation period, as they call it, the first 2 weeks, strength and conditioning. And so I don't blame them, because in 2011, when there was a lockout, it's documented. There were a lot more injuries that year. And at that point, players could work out a lot with each other, which they couldn't do this time. So if they have a lot of injuries and COVID-19 positive tests, then you're going to see practice squad players. Practice squads increased to 16 this year. There's 115 veteran free agents still unsigned. I think you'll see a team like the Patriots start signing some of those guys, because when they opt out, you get the money under the salary cap. The Patriots were in a lot of trouble salary cap wise, and now they've got some room to maneuver. And so a lot of guys that are being cut right now, teams get down to 80, even though they could go to camp ordinarily with 90. Those guys are going to be on the streets, and they've never met their coaches in person, but they've met them in the virtual off-season program. Depending on how many guys get hurt, you could see a lot of young, inexperienced players.
John, has there been any indication from Texans players on guys making decisions or anything along those lines? I'd imagine that's just something that'll slowly leak out, like some of the stories we've seen today.
Yeah, Greg, I haven't been able, other than telephone or Zoom, to talk to anybody since the day after they lost the Kansas City playoff game when they choked that 24-point lead. And we've got Zoom calls Thursday and Friday with players and Bill O'Brien, and then we're going to get them regularly. We will never interview them in person. There's 10 media members per team who have to get tested every day, like the players, and can watch practice. And even though the practice is going to be shorts and T-shirts, and then instead of letting us in the building like some teams are, and I thought we'd get to go up in the press box to work, they're putting in this humongous trailer in the parking lot where we can work and social distance with our own restroom and things like that. And they say that the system will be great for getting air in and out, but I'm going to spend a minimal amount of time in there. After practice, I'm going in there. I'm going to write quickly for Texas Sports Nation, our online sports site, and then I'm going home to work. But it's amazing. The Texans sent out a thing to us today about all the changes that have gone on at NRG Stadium and their practice bubble across the street. And once I see it, they say you won't recognize it. And all of them, of course, are protocols in place because of COVID-19. And one of the things you see with the baseball, they're violating their own protocols like crazy. Everybody in the dugout supposed to have a map, and I watched every pitch of the Astros series. I watched other games. So many were violating. We saw high five celebration at home plate, fraternizing. Not enough players in the stands like they're supposed to be. And so I don't know now if they're going to clamp down because of what happened to the Marlins, but baseball is sure not following its protocol so far.
John, what did they tell you, for example, Bill O'Brien? Will his press conference be on Zoom? Will there be
everything?
Okay.
Everything, David, is Zoom. The league rules say that if the 10 people that can watch practice, if the club will allow it, can interview the head coach and assistant coaches from 6 feet away. The Texans are not going to allow it. They're going to have everybody on Zoom, which means problem with Zoom, I get to ask the first and last question, and that's it, because there's media people on those things that I don't even know who they are. And but that's the way of the world, and we all have to adapt.
Well, you should. You should ask all 10 questions. I mean, let a couple of the guys sneak in there. So Dusty Baker was asked about any possible tension between the Astros and the Dodgers. He goes, I don't know. Most of the tension didn't come from our side. Most of it was coming from theirs. If there's tension there, that's just how it is. You can't control tension. Don't want to. All we want to do is win. Whoa, this Paul, John, there's got to be something up and in, right? I mean, someone's got to get chin music.
The over-under on hit by pitches here is 3, and I say under because it's only 2 games. And you know the umpires are going to read them the riot act. On my show here today, we're rerunning all these quotes from the Dodgers mouthing off during the scandal, and they didn't like what the Astros said in spring training in March. And Cody Bellinger has been the most outspoken, saying Altuve stole the MVP from Aaron Judge. You know, Altuve's wearing a buzzer, and just going on. And I'll guarantee you the problem with the Astros, they don't have Justin Verlander to do that chin music. They got a bunch of young pitchers who have pitched 1 or 2 times in the 4 games, and they're going to want to impress their coach and manager and teammates. So they're liable to hit them, and you can't have fights anymore. You're not supposed to anyway. But if everybody's going to have one, it would be the Dodgers and the Astros, because Bellinger said there's no doubt they cheated for 3 years.
They have 9 bullpen. All of them are like first-year pitchers or young, like they don't even shave yet.
Yeah.
They can be sacrificed. So if somebody hits an Astro, they're going to be expected to retaliate. But you know the umpires are going to throw a fit. They're going to warn them. They're going to threaten them. But the fact is, you know, there's pride. You got to protect your players. And I think it's interesting. This is something I tell people when I do talk shows around the country, especially back when the scandal came out. They're just convinced the Astros cheated the last 3 years. And so I said, do you believe Rob Manfred's investigation, the Astros cheated in 2017? Yes, I do, of course. I said, well, then why do you not believe him when he said they had no evidence of cheating in 2019 when they were the first team in history to lose 4 World Series games at home? And they always respond like Porky Pig.
John,
because they have no answer.
Because it's 2020, and here's what. If you say something I agree with, you're right all the time. But if you say something I disagree with, then the first thing I still agree with, but the second thing you're wrong. So it doesn't have to make sense.
Paul. Great point.
Hey, John, I was just curious what you thought about, baseball and what you've seen so far, just in general, that in terms of, the no fans. I mean, we kind of got a preview with the Korean Baseball League a couple of months back, and there's been some other sports, but just what have you thought about the return of baseball?
Craig, I was so fired up like you guys were about having baseball back, something else to talk about. And watching the Astros, Seattle's terrible. They won 3 of 4. I know the Rangers, that first game, they won 1-0, and they're ready to print the World Series tickets. And the fact is, with 16 teams making the playoffs, if you get hot, you got a chance. If you get your foot in the door, you got a chance. This is the first time we've seen a sprint instead of a marathon. I think it's exciting. We'll adjust to no fans or cardboard cutouts. Astros have a thing that's ridiculous. Well, they'll flash fans on Zoom. You're going, Jose, and they're all off. And half of them look drunk. It's a total waste of time. But teams are trying different things.
John, you're the best. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Great to
Thank
hear
you,
from
guys.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's John McClain. By the way, only because I'm the only one who will ever bring this up. Khabib
Nurmagomedov.
And who?
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
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 And then Justin Gaethje.
Gaethje.
Will fight on October 24th. Paul.
That's a big deal.
I know. Khabib,
yeah.
I've talked to him.
Have you?
I think we did at a Super Bowl, didn't we, Paul? Khabib?
Y'all talked to
No.
Khabib? I don't think he's been on Radio Row.
No, we didn't talk to Khabib.
No, that was Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I talked to Conor right before, about a year before he blew up really
And it
huge.
never aired.
And it never aired.
How come?
It didn't air because the recording it got messed up. And
we
then
were doing something at the same time,
Yeah.
and in spite of long dictated instructions, somebody didn't follow them. Not you, but I mean, like it was.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it just didn't record right, and so Conor was actually, and I'll always respect him for this. He absolutely did not to do this, but he let me do a walk and talk with him to make up for the fact.
Did he really?
Yeah, but it just wasn't that good.
No,
I mean, it
but
wasn't
still,
that good
man.
versus what I mean. I had done probably 15 minutes with him, just one-on-one, sitting at a table, versus a less than 5 minute walk and talk while he's trying to go over to another booth, and so it just did not vibe the way I would have liked. But no, I mean, I will always have that memory. Nobody got to hear it, but I'll always have that memory, and I know how Conor treated me, a complete stranger, and I will always be grateful for a guy of his status, even though he was getting big at that point. He was about a year away from winning the title and really blowing up, but he was getting pretty big at that point. So I'll always be thankful for
good.
that. Yeah.
By the way, this Khabib is unbeaten.
Yeah, he beat the mess out of Conor, and that's the fight that Conor may never be able to have a chance to make up for. But yeah, he beat the mess out of Conor. He's beaten the mess out of pretty much everybody.
You're going to be amazed by this. Gaethje, the last time I saw him fight, I believe I was watching, and it might have been with you, and he dominated this guy. Just methodically took somebody apart.
He's also a very good fighter.
Are you listening to this, Paul?
And he had a couple of the fight of the year contenders last year. He was a part of some big time fun entertaining matchups. So I think if you're a fight fan, that Khabib coming back for one is just giant news, because he's one of their bigger stars. He just had his father recently pass away, and then you got the COVID stuff going on, so he's been dealing with a lot. But that's one of their major stars now, one of their champions, and Gaethje will be quite the competitor, so that should be a great fight.
Paul, do we have another break?
No.
All right, so last night, Jason King, this is getting to be tenuously a little bit later, as he sends us this pop quiz.
I think he's having a harder time with the questions now. We've been doing this for a few weeks.
We'll find out how deep and experienced he is. So Greg Abbott just retweeted me. One Baylor football player I'd love to see have success this year. Paul and Craig, both of you said Xavier Newman.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. Wow.
Well, I mean, look, he bypassed a red shirt when he didn't have to help the team. He's moving to center. I'm excited to see him.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Charlie and others who played as freshmen, we talk about them and the but Xavier Newman, I mean, he tried to redshirt multiple times. Even last year, they got really close to getting him to, and then what happened? They had to have him on that line to work.
And he ended up playing well.
So I picked him, yeah.
I said Gavin Holmes / Jared Atkinson. They both have been through multiple knee injury. No, Gavin Holmes has been through like 2.5, 3. But Jared Atkinson, they moved him to defense for 2 games. He's always been stuck. He's a big, good-looking body. But he also, remember, he left like for a semester. His mom battled breast cancer and continues to have to go through that. So that's who I mentioned. All right? Most likable Baylor team ever. Paul, you mentioned this past season, men's basketball team. Craig and I, among a couple of others, I misread this again, shocking. I thought they were talking about what Baylor football. I said the 2019 football team, no egos. Never would imagine they would have been in the position they were. Workmanlike, lunch pail demeanor.
Yeah, I think this year's basketball team, I mean, it was just so easy to go in and talk to them. And I was the thing that kind of sucks about not having NCAA tournament is you get a lot more one-on-one opportunities, when you have those open locker rooms. And so I was looking forward to that. And of course, I did several one-on-ones during the time. And, part of that just kind of stems from the personalities you have. When you got Freddie Gillespie and Jared Butler, they're both friendly dudes, and they're the leaders of the team, and it just kind of goes on down.
I just follow football more closely. I mean, that's a sport I cover the most. And so to see where these guys were a couple of years ago in those post-game locker rooms and what those were like, if y'all will remember, to seeing them 2 years later, now grown up, mature, and not only winning, but winning with, like, such class. Like, they never, like, the Bryles teams were all great, and they had a lot of great guys to cover, and we have them on the show almost daily. But would you guys agree that they also knew how good they were? Like, there was no, like, humility, really, and it wasn't a bad thing. It was just that they knew how good they were, and there was no hiding it. And this team last year was a little bit more, I guess you could say, humble about their successes, and maybe that's because of where they were just 2 years prior. But I really enjoyed watching those young men grow up and have that success.
All right, also, there's a couple of more. We'll have Jason King on tomorrow.
What was y'all's gas station snack?
Mine was the Tostito.
Pringles.
Doritos.
I love Pringles. I've been on a Pringles kick lately.
Mainly pretzels for me. Now, Mack Rhodes earlier today mentioned that the Ole Miss game remains September 6th.
Mm-hmm.
There are no plans on using that open weekend in August yet, and gave us a lot of the protocols and all that other stuff as well. So then we've had how many? We've had 2 or 3 high school coaches, a mayor, and also a county commissioner to discuss Ken Paxton's ruling today, or at least his comments today, or his press release today.
The basic gist of what Mack Rhodes told us was that the schedule as it stands right now is as it stands right now, and they're not planning on moving up like Oklahoma has a non-conference game to week 0. That will not be happening. He did not rule it out entirely, but it sounded pretty much ruled out that was not going to probably happen. So everything remains status quo. But obviously there's still a shoe that could drop with the non-conference games, and really they're waiting on the Big 12, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. They don't really have much of a choice, but in the next couple of weeks to
most
figure
people
things
think
out.
Monday is
yeah,
what's going to be
you're going to have to do it soon. You're going to have to. So nothing's changed with the schedule. Everything's still on, but they will not be moving up most likely, and really are just awaiting word on what they're going to be allowed to do, quite frankly.
Yep. All right, so that's kind of a summary of a lot of things. Tomorrow things could change. The roller coaster is Lonnie Judd of Moody, Mike Shields of McGregor, even the mayor of Stephenville, who we were able to pop on because he's the one that got Ken Paxton to release this. So if Stephenville's mayor doesn't contact Ken Paxton, does it come out?
I mean, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe they decided, well, you know.
So who gets the cigars in the bottle of Balcones or whatever? Is it Ken Paxton or is it the mayor of Stephenville?
Mayor of Stephenville.
Yeah, the mayor of Stephenville. Let's not go do it on the road because that's not. I'm not saying he's not doing a good job, but I just think that when you're in that position, it's kind of. So Greg Abbott retweeted you?
Yes.
Really?
No, it wasn't him.
Oh,
it was just a
fake Greg Abbott on Twitter.
Guy named Greg.
There's got to be some fake Greg Abbott on Twitter, I would think.
Yeah. It was just some Greg Abbott.
But no, I think Stephenville's mayor is the first in line for the bottles of Balcones and the cigars and the whatever else you want to deliver. If, in fact, this has changed the outlook for high school football the way it appears to have potentially changed the outlook for high school football, he would definitely be first in line.
All right, so thanks to our guest, and my goodness, about half of them we didn't expect to have a part of the show today. We didn't. But we did in the end. Our guest lineup, thanks to Levi Norwood, Mack Rhodes, Lonnie Judd, David Hellman, John McClain, Mayor Doug Sveen of